The first sequence this video is purely for entertainment and does not infringe on copyrights or laws. The rights to the novel and image belong to the original author. We do not claim ownership. Don't like waiting and want to listen to this fanfic in full now? Subscribe to our Patreon, where you'll find the best fanfics. Chapter 351, The Weasel Greets the Chicken. On the rainy Dabin Mountain Road, a large group of cyclists suddenly drove up the mountain. The leading motorcycle was tied with a big flag with a tiger head embroidered on it. Each of these bandits covered their noses and mouths with a blue cloth. From a distance, two cars were in a row, and they had the same blue face towel, which looked very spectacular. Moreover, this team had a large number of people. There were more than 300 people going up the mountain alone. It was not a small bandit organization at first glance. At least their outfits were better than those of ordinary bandits. Ordinary bandits didn't even have face towels and big flags. Some poor bandits were so poor that they even had torn pants. When they reached the north slope, they parked their motorcycles on the side of the road, and the leader walked towards a small mountain road. At the end of this mountain road, there should be a bandit camp. The bandits walked on the mountain road with ferocious faces. No one spoke. Everyone held their guns in front of their chests, ready to deal with emergencies at any time. They originally thought that someone would ambush them here in advance and put up a fierce resistance, but the whole mountain road was quiet, and there was not even a sentry. When they arrived at the entrance of the mountain stronghold, the leader pushed open the wooden door of the mountain stronghold with a creak. He was not afraid of a sneak attack and walked in first. But when he went in, he saw that the mountain stronghold was empty, as if no one had lived there for a long time. The leader whispered, "There is something strange about this Dabin mountain. 5 or 6 mountain strongholds along the way are empty. What's going on? Is it because it's too hard, so they went back to the factory of the consortium? There should be a few more on the mountain. Let's go and take a look," the leader's confidant asked. "Let's go. I don't believe that all the bandits on Dabin Mountain have turned over a new leaf," the leader sneered, and led the team to continue up the mountain. It was not until they searched 3 more places that they found a few scattered bandits in a mountain stronghold. When the few isolated bandits saw this scene, they knelt down on the spot and begged for mercy. "Don't kill us." The leader frowned and pondered for a while and asked, "Where are you?" The little bandits cried, "We were captured by the bandits." The leader paused, "Aren't you bandits?" This group of people were so angry that they laughed. Everyone was robbing refugees. How could someone rob bandits? Exclamation mark. They were also here to rob the small hills. They thought they had thought of it before others, but they didn't expect that someone would get there first. The leader asked, "Who is the boss here? Stand up and talk." The little bandit shouted, "Our boss was also captured." The leader was stunned for a moment. "Who the hell captured him? Why are you guys okay?" "They were captured by a refugee settlement at the foot of the mountain in the south. We escaped because we saw that the situation was not right and ran away in advance," said the little bandit. "How big is that settlement?" the leader asked curiously. "There are about 400 to 500 people. They are very fierce, and there are 2 extraordinary people," said the little bandit. At this time, the leader became alert. There are actually 2 extraordinary people in a refugee settlement? Can this be an ordinary refugee settlement? The leader thought for a while and asked, "What kind of people do they usually catch and how do they catch them?" "They catch everyone. They catch one when they see one. It's basically the 2 extraordinary people who take action. No one else needs to move. Our boss was knocked down. What will they do after they are caught?" asked the leader. "I don't know. Anyway, they should not be killed. They are just a group of people who gather there to dig canals and press bricks." At this time, the leader said to his confidant beside him, "This group of people doesn't seem to be very vigilant. Sujin, you take a team of people over and let them catch you. Go in and get a good feel of their situation. Wait for my signal to cooperate inside and outside." The bandit named Sujin nodded and said, "I understand." He selected 11 brothers to go down the mountain with him. The leader looked at another person and said, "Go to the north and ask the brothers to come over. It seems that there is still a tough guy to deal with here, but it shouldn't take too much effort. Just call the brothers to be on the safe side." At this time, the small bandits in the mountain village suddenly saw their tiger flags and said, "You are the bandits in the north." The leader smiled and said, "You have a keen eye." Sujin led a team of people to the refugee settlement with great momentum. As expected, they were also captured by Ren Xiaosu. In order to make it more realistic, Su Jinitun and others deliberately resisted fiercely. Although they didn't hit Ren Xiaosu with a single shot, they looked quite fierce. Ren Xiaosu handed Su Jinitun to Jinlan for handling. Yang Xiaojin suddenly whispered, "There's something wrong with this group of people." "What's wrong?" Ren Xiaosu asked. "The way they hold their guns is something they were trained to do, and the 12 people are coordinated. You can see that there should have been a unified pattern engraved on their motorcycles, but they were deliberately scratched off on the way here." Yang Xiaojin was observant, especially all the secret details about firearms could not be hidden from her. This group of people only knew that there were 2 extraordinary people here, and they acted well, but Yang Xiaojin still saw some problems. "Are they soldiers?" Ren Xiaosu asked. "That's not it. There are no signs of hard training of soldiers. This group of people is probably sent by a larger bandit organization, and they may have evil intentions," Yang Xiaojin said. Ren Xiaosu laughed happily and said, "It's okay, let them stay here." It seems that Ren Xiaosu is not worried about this group of people at all. The rain stopped, and Su Jinitun and others started to dig mud after Jinlan's systematic training. To their surprise, Jinlan actually said that the 2 extraordinary people were sent by 178 Bastion. Why did 178 Bastion get involved in the affairs of the river valley? Su Jinitun was skeptical. Then he was shocked to find that the people digging mud with him were actually bandits. Could it be that they were all preparing to surrender to the 178th barrier, as Jinlan hinted? "Brother Su, what should we do?" someone asked in a low voice. Su Jinitun thought for a while and said, "Let's make bricks with them first. Did they say that we can get guns after collecting 100 bullets? We can only cooperate with them from inside and outside after we get guns again." "Okay." A few days later, the brick kiln was opened. Jinlan and his men happily waited for the temperature in the kiln to cool down, and then moved the blue bricks out one by one. Someone next to Su Jinitun said, "Brother Su, why do they want to make bricks instead of being bandits anymore?" Su Jinitun thought for a while and said, "Maybe they want to build some defensive fortifications." "No, I heard them say they wanted to build houses for the refugees. I also heard that the refugees were very nice to these bandits and even brought them food." "Stop talking nonsense," Su Jinitun said unhappily. "How could the bandits build houses for the refugees? Isn't it like a weasel paying New Year's greetings to a chicken? And will the refugees bring food to the bandits? Why don't I believe it?" As a result, at noon, the refugees came to the shore with baskets on their shoulders and enthusiastic smiles. "Come and have a meal, everyone. I've cooked a few ears of corn for you. Don't despise it." Jinlan and Zhang Yihan took the baskets from the refugees and distributed corn to everyone one by one. This was the corn that was saved during the autumn harvest last year. The refugees saved it for the winter but didn't finish it, but no one despised it. Su Jinitun was stunned for a long while. "Am I seeing a ghost?" Just as he finished speaking, Jinlan stuffed an ear of still hot corn into his hand. "Stop talking nonsense, eat it while it's hot." Chapter 352, Confused. Su Jinitun didn't want to work from the bottom of his heart, especially for such a cheap job as digging mud. Seeing that his companions had begun to save bullets seriously, he was still procrastinating and didn't want to work. Su Jinitun silently observed Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin. After all, these 2 legendary extraordinary people were the top priority. Originally, he thought that as a low-level bandit who had just come in, it would be difficult for him to meet these 2 extraordinary people, and he couldn't even have any intersection. But he was wrong. These days, Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin have been working with everyone. No matter how dirty or tired they were, they never complained. Su Jinitun was a little confused. Could this be an extraordinary person? Is this the legendary 178 barrier master? Can a master be so humble? But the pain on his face was still reminding him that he couldn't afford to offend these 2 people. Su Jinitun whispered to Jinlan, "Brother Jinlan, these 2 are just pretending, right? Do you believe it? The big shots are playing house with you, and you really believe it?" Jinlan looked at him with disgust. "These 2 gentlemen are not pretending. We are not fools. Can't we see that they are just pretending? But you are lazy and gluttonous every day, and you don't work hard. You are not allowed to eat the corn sent by the villagers today." Su Jinitun. What the hell is going on? Su Jinitun was not happy either. How can you, a bandit, feel superior by doing farm work? Jin Lan glanced at him and sneered, "It's not shameful to make a living by your own hands and feet. It's shameful to be lazy and gluttonous." Su Jinhun thought about it seriously. It seems so. But who is lazy and gluttonous? Question mark. However, Su Jinhun observed Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin for a long time, and even used most of his energy to observe the couple. As a result, he found that these two people were not pretending, but could really endure hardships. In his heart, Su Jinhun actually gradually believed in the identities of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin. It would be great if he could really follow the 178th barrier, but he always felt that it was a bit unreal, and there were other bandits in the north waiting for his news. What should he choose? People who come in with a purpose are always more difficult to convince than others, because they originally have a goal. At this time, someone shouted, "Come on, a few people." The eldest brother said that if you help build a house, everyone who participates can get 15 bullets. Su Jinhun watched a group of people around him rush out, and Jin Lan yelled, "No one should compete with me." Su Jinhun followed and muttered in a low voice, "Are you all crazy?" When they arrived at the refugee settlement, the blue bricks were already stacked next to them, but someone said, "But where can we get cement and concrete?" At first, everyone thought that building a brick house only required beams, roofs and bricks, but then they remembered that they had not prepared one thing: cement. There are some at the barrier, but they can't go to the consortium to buy them now, right? Ren Xiaosu was also dumbfounded. "Have you ever done this before?" The refugees and bandits shook their heads. "We have never built brick houses. We have lived in mud houses all our lives." Ren Xiaosu asked loudly, "Does anyone know how to do it?" The reward for 20 bullets. If anyone knows the solution, don't keep it to yourself. Everyone looked at each other. Everyone wanted to earn these 20 bullets, but they really didn't know how. Suddenly, Su Jinhun said, "Stir and boil glutinous rice juice, lime, and broken hemp rope to make a very viscous liquid. It can be used as an adhesive for the gaps between wall tiles. It will not deteriorate for 10 to 20 years. Ren Xiaosu's eyes lit up. "What is the proportion? How much should be added? Have you ever worked in construction before?" "I used to build houses for wealthy families in the market town. I will adjust the proportions later. You can find materials first." "These things are not difficult to find in the wasteland," Su Jinhun said reservedly. He was not after 20 bullets, but felt that these refugees could not even do this. They were too stupid. Suddenly, Jin Lan came over and punched him in the chest. Su Jinhun was about to get angry, but heard Jin Lan laugh and say, "Good job, brother, great." Ren Xiaosu took the lead in applauding. "Come on, let's all thank our brother together. What's your name?" "Su Jinhun." "Okay, you will be the captain of our settlement construction team in the future." Ren Xiaosu pointed casually. Su Jinhun looked at the approving eyes of everyone around him with a confused mind. He suddenly remembered what Jin Lan said to him before, "It is not shameful to earn a living by your own hands and feet." Ren Xiaosu went to get 20 bullets and handed them to Su Jinhun. "Good job, brother." Su Jinhun looked at the bullets in his hand, which were heavy. He looked at the envious eyes of others and suddenly felt a little happy that Jin Lan and others saved bullets. When building a house, refugees sent food such as sweet potatoes and corn. Their conditions here are poor, and sweet potatoes, and corn are their staple foods. A female refugee was still praising Su Jinhun while stuffing food into his mouth. "I noticed you when you first came. You can tell at a glance that you are a learned person. Here, people who can build houses are learned people." Su Jinhun was about to say that he was not a learned person, but Ren Xiaosu stopped him with a smile. "Being able to use knowledge to help others is knowledge. Knowledge is used to change the world. You are changing the world." This big talk directly made Su Jinhun stunned. Before he didn't work, other bandits looked down on him. But when he showed his ability, these damn bandits would call him Brother Su affectionately every day. The huge difference in treatment before and after made Su Jinhun a little uncomfortable. And this bandit team is moving from scattered to united. In the long-term relationship, they will have the same values and a mysterious belief. Of course, that day is still a long way off. Half a month passed in a flash. The corn is delicious. Su Jinhun chewed the corn in his hand and wondered, what is he doing here? In order to gain the trust of this group of bandits, find out the situation of this group of bandits in front of him, and then take back his own weapons, and cooperate with other bandits coming from the north to destroy the entire settlement. But what am I doing? Just building houses every day. No, I also dig silt, help refugees sow seeds, and then eat their corn. A female refugee fell in love with him and tried to pull him into the mud house every day. Su Jinhoon had to use a lot of willpower to control himself. How could a northern bandit like him stay here for a little love and corn? At this time, Ren Xiaosu shouted from a distance, "Come over and move bricks, 30 bricks for a bullet." Su Jinhoon counted his bullets and ate the corn in his hand in 2 or 3 bites. "Here I come, brothers, don't fight with me, I will have enough soon. Please give me a monthly ticket." Chapter 353 Seeds of Faith. As the bandits gathered here, the originally desolate refugee settlement suddenly seemed to have a bit more life. Although some bandits went to the refugees' homes to steal dried corn cobs, the refugees didn't say anything when they found out. Instead, Ren Xiaosu beat the guy up severely and confiscated all his bullets. The refugees also advised Ren Xiaosu not to hit him so hard, which made the beaten bandit feel ashamed. Later, this kind of thing never happened again. There were some refugees who bullied other refugees, and they went to other people's homes to eat like a gangster every day. As a result, Jin Lan and the others couldn't stand it, so they beat these gangsters and took them to the bandits for reform. These gangsters bullied refugees, but they dared not even think about bullying bandits. Brick and stone houses rose from the ground, and the bandits had all their strength and worked very fast. Ren Xiaosu watched Su Jinhoon directing the construction of the house. There was a female refugee next to him looking at him lovingly. He turned to Yang Xiaojin and said, "He is one of the people you said had problems before, right?" "Yes," Yang Xiaojin nodded, "but it seems that he doesn't have any evil intentions anymore." Before, Yang Xiaojin was still wondering if this group of people would cause trouble, and had been secretly observing these people. At that time, she was still wondering why Ren Xiaosu was not worried, but she found that her worry was unnecessary. Seeing that Su Jinhoon was now eagerly looking forward to exchanging bullets every day. This time, they built 12 houses in one go. In this desolate wasteland, brick houses finally rose from the ground again. Ren Xiaosu looked at all this and felt a little complicated. Those solid brick houses seemed to symbolize the continuation of human civilization. Each house is about 28 square meters, and a house requires about 1,900 bricks, which can accommodate more than 10 people. Although compared with their number, the houses are still a little small, but the bricks in the second kill have begun to burn, and they can be taken out in 2 days to continue building houses. Jin Lan and Zhang Yihan boasted to the refugees yesterday that they would provide a house for everyone. Ren Xiaosu asked him with a smile, "When you have saved enough bullets, will you still build houses?" Jin Lan said embarrassedly, "We can't just watch our fellow villagers continue to live in cave dwellings. There are so many children. Living in cave dwellings is very damp and not good for their health." Zhang Yihan continued, "We can also build schools and factories." Ren Xiaosu laughed, "What kind of factory building? We don't have the technology to build a factory. What if we have one in the future?" Zhang Yihan muttered. At this time, Ren Xiaosu walked towards the newly built brick houses and asked Jin Lan, "How many bullets do you have?" It had been more than 20 days since the bandits started working, and many people should have saved up enough bullets. Jin Lan counted for a long time and came back scratching his head and said, "Because new brothers joined some time ago, we gave them a lot of bullets, so each person probably needs 2 or 3 bullets. It should be enough for everyone to make bricks for another day tomorrow." It was indeed because the new bandits slowed down everyone's progress. Otherwise, with some additional costs for moving bricks, mixing clay, and sewing, these bandits should have saved up enough bullets long ago. Fortunately, there have been no new bandits joining recently, and the number of people has been controlled at about 400. Of course, there are also some who escape, but very few. Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin said that there should be bandit forces from the north moving south, otherwise they wouldn't have had a new bandit for more than 10 days. So I'm afraid that what they will face next is friction with the northern forces to see who can win. Only then did Yang Xiaojin recall that they were here to suppress bandits. But now was not the time to think about this. Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, "You haven't counted the bullets for building the house today. I said before that each person who participated in building the house would get 15 bullets. I'll keep my word." As he spoke, Jin Lan and the others suddenly became excited. After more than 20 days of hard work, their efforts were finally going to bear fruit. If Ren Xiaosu had returned the guns to them at the beginning, they would definitely not be excited, because those guns were originally theirs, and they were given to them for free by other forces. But now it was different. Saving up 100 bullets to exchange for guns was like an honor. The reason for their excitement was not the gun, but the qualification to hold a gun in this settlement. It was as if this qualification was worth 1,000 gold. They were not so happy when they robbed the caravan before, and they were not as proud as today, because they earned it with their sweat. Ren Xiaosu asked Jinlan to bring all the weapons over. What are you going to do with these guns? Jinlan said excitedly, robbery. There are hundreds of us so united that we can definitely sweep across the entire south. Jinlan did not exaggerate. After all, there were several gangs of bandits in the north that were very fierce. Ren Xiaosu was silent for a moment. He pointed at the refugees who were watching them nearby and said, robbery? Rob them. The refugees who were watching were stunned when they heard this. Jinlan quickly explained, we are not robbing you. Why should we rob you? But there are many people like them, Ren Xiaosu said. They also have children and wives. At this time Su Jinitun asked in confusion, then what are we doing with guns? To protect them, Ren Xiaosu said with a smile. He pointed at the female refugee who was flirting with Su Jinitun every day and said, protect Xiaokui, protect the villagers, and protect our families. Su Jinitun stopped talking. Xiaokui shyly glanced at him outside. Ren Xiaosu picked up a gun and handed it to Su Jinitun with both hands. Take this gun, we are a family, comrades in arms, brothers, and family. Su Jinitun took the gun shyly, and then Jinlan and Zhang Yihan took the gun with excitement. They held the cold black guns as if they were holding a treasure. Jinlan said to the villagers, don't worry. With me, old Jin, here, no bandits can rob you. Yang Xiaojun watched all this silently from the side, looking at the boy who was like the protagonist in the center of the stage. She once said that it was difficult to make a group of bandits find faith, and it was good enough to be able to unite. But unexpectedly, after only more than 20 days, a collective concept has quietly formed, and a belief about protection has also quietly emerged. There is no grand family and country sentiment. The belief that Ren Xiaosu conveyed to the bandits is protection of their own property, protection of their own family, protection of their own friends. Everything is based on self-interest. There is no need to maintain world peace or anything like that. This kind of thing has nothing to do with them. Of course, whether it is the power, will or faith of this group, it is still just a small seed. If they really leave Ren Xiaosu, a strong individual, and leave a rope to hold them together, I am afraid they will soon fall apart and go their separate ways. Or if they encounter a strong enemy now, they can quickly defeat them. But Yang Xiaojun felt that it was remarkable that Ren Xiaosu was able to plant this seed. Chapter 354 Family. Yang Xiaojun tilted her head and looked at Ren Xiaosu. In the past 2 days, she began to think about what kind of house she should build for herself here. It must not be crowded with other bandits, right? Can it be built a little bigger, such as having a kitchen and a small yard, so that Ren Xiaosu can catch some pigs and pheasants in the wilderness and domesticate them again, and maybe even raise 2 cows? Thinking of this, Yang Xiaojun also began to look forward to the new bricks coming out of the kiln tomorrow. But her house may have to wait a little longer. After all, there is still a big gap in the brick and stone houses here. Since Ren Xiaosu wants to lead by example, she is not afraid to suffer with Ren Xiaosu. But she is curious, the guns have been fired, what goal will Ren Xiaosu use to maintain them next? But Ren Xiaosu said, starting tomorrow, we will continue to press bricks. The bricks from the next kiln will not be used to build houses yet. We will build fortifications. Jinlan muttered, I thought I could stop working. Although Ren Xiaosu tried to change their minds, it was difficult to change deep-rooted habits. In Jinlan's view, if the bandits had guns, they should go out to burn, kill and loot. Even if they didn't want to burn, kill and loot now, there was no need to continue working. Ren Xiaosu suddenly said, starting tomorrow, you can get a motorcycle if you save up 200 bullets again. Jinlan and Zhang Yihan looked at the brand new motorcycle with shining eyes. They hadn't touched a motorcycle for a long time since they came to this settlement. Men like things that have a sense of power, and cars are one of them. Whether it is a 2-wheeled motorcycle or a 4-wheeled car, when the engine roars, it is like the roar from their hearts, which is refreshing. Su Jinun hesitated a little. Should he also work quickly to get a motorcycle? Moreover, he was a skilled worker, so he could definitely change motorcycles faster than others. The next morning, Ren Xiaosu woke up and walked to the river. The spring flood would last for a long time, and the hotter the weather, the wider the river would be. In summer, the river that stretched to who knows how far would be like the lifeline of mankind, running across this wasteland. Ren Xiaosu walked all the way to the settlement. Today was the day when the brick kiln produced bricks. The bandits felt that the progress was a bit slow with only one brick kiln, so they prepared to build a new one, and it would be bigger. Someone asked Jinlan why they got so many bricks. The house would be built sooner or later. Would the brick kiln still be useful by then? Jinlan said mysteriously, what if a 179 barrier is suddenly built here? The question of why Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun came here lingered in the bandits' minds for a long time. After thinking for a long time, everyone guessed that the 178 barrier was going to extend its influence inland. Then, wouldn't this empty river valley area be a good choice? No consortium had built a barrier here before because this no man's land was too sensitive. If anyone built it here, no one else would agree. But if a strong 178 barrier wanted to take action, the Yang family, who was caught in the war, might not be able to stop it, and the northern Zhuang family could not beat the 178 barrier. Although the location was not very good, the timing was good. Moreover, if the mineral deposits of the 178 barrier were to be sold far inland, this river valley area was the only way for them to pass. Thinking of this, Jinlan and the others felt that they understood. Along the way, everyone greeted each other warmly and called each other brothers, as if after Ren Xiaosu said that they became a family last night, everyone really became a family to each other. Some people really believed it, and some did not. But in this environment, those who did not believe it could not say anything. At this time, the brothers brought by Su Jinhun watched all this silently. Anyway, they did not believe it. Someone calculated the days, and there was not much time left for the leader to give them. According to the agreement, they should sneak out tonight to report the news, complete the conspiracy in the wilderness, and then carry out a surprise attack tomorrow night. Brother Su, let's prepare to retreat, someone said to Su Jinhun, tonight. Su Jinhun looked at him and glared, what are you talking about? How can I leave my family? The bandits under his command. What the hell are you talking about? Are you crazy? At first everyone thought Su Jinhun was joking, but when they got serious, they found that Su Jinhun was serious. Brother Su, didn't you say before that you didn't believe in their stuff? A bandit said aggrievedly. Su Jinhun sighed, is there a good end to being a bandit? Have you ever heard of any bandit who enjoyed his old age? Everyone recalled carefully, and it seemed that there really was none. Su Jinhun continued, you have also come into contact with Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun. Regardless of whether they are from the 178th barrier or not, let's just say, how do you think they compare to our previous leader? In terms of strength, both sides are extraordinary, the little bandit analyzed, but there are two people here. In terms of personality, this side is indeed more comfortable, someone said, in our place, the atmosphere is quite depressing, and we don't even dare to breathe. Su Jinhun nodded, what about here? Like a family, we can joke and work together. So let's not talk about anything else for now, which side do you think is better from the bottom of your heart? Su Jinhun said, do you think I was really fooled? No, it's Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun who gave me a glimmer of hope. Su Jinhun looked at Jinlan and Zhang Yihan who were moving bricks in the distance. Did these bandits choose to stay here because they were brainwashed? No, they all saw a power called hope, so they willingly joined this scam. If a scam can really bring everyone a good life, is it still a scam? Su Jinhun had sleepless nights, and finally made his own decision. Then why don't we cooperate with each other? Someone tried. Well, Su Jinhun nodded, I will find a chance to tell my eldest brother about this later, so that he can guard against sneak attacks. Then if he knows that we are here as spies, will he reject us? Someone asked. Su Jinhun was stunned for a moment, he took a deep breath and said, I believe he won't. As he said that, Su Jinhun walked towards where Ren Xiaosu was. He thought he could convince all the brothers to stay, but some of his brothers still ran away secretly. Before leaving, the escaped bandit said, although I think this place is good, you see that other people can't even hold a gun. When the leader comes, this place will be reduced to ashes overnight. I don't want to die. The others looked at each other, unable to make a decision. When Su Jinhun walked in front of Ren Xiaosu and was hesitating about how to start, Ren Xiaosu turned to look at him with a smile and asked, when will those bandits attack? Chapter 355 Wang Konggang. You knew it a long time ago, didn't you? Su Jinhun said with mixed feelings. He had been unable to sleep for a whole night because he was struggling over whether to tell Ren Xiaosu about this matter. He was even worried that if Ren Xiaosu knew the truth, he would kill him on the spot. Although he told his brother, "I believe he won't," he actually had no idea. However, at this time, he found out that Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun had known his secret for a long time. Yang Xiaojun stood beside Ren Xiaosu and looked at him and said, "You deliberately crossed out the logo on the motorcycle. This method is not very clever. But this doesn't prove anything." Su Jinhun said with pursed lips. "After you came, no more bandits came from the north." Ren Xiaosu laughed happily. "It should be that someone in the north integrated all the bandits in Dabin Mountain, Tangwang Mountain, and Guanshan." Su Jinhun said stubbornly, "Is it because of this?" Ren Xiaosu laughed happily. "We cheated you." Su Jinhun was dumbfounded. Cheated himself? "In fact, we have been observing you for a long time," Ren Xiaosu said with a smile, "but it is not until now that we can completely confirm your identity." "Then how do you want to deal with me?" Su Jinhun said in a deep voice. "The bandit den always treats traitors with 3 knives and 6 holes, without any room for mercy." Su Jinhun knew that if he had replaced another leader, he might have been doomed, but he felt in his heart that Ren Xiaosu was different. But Ren Xiaosu suddenly extended a hand to him. "Welcome to join." Su Jinhun was relieved immediately. The young man in front of him was indeed different from other bandit leaders. He said briefly, "The original agreement was to meet tonight and take action tomorrow night, but one of the 12 people on our side ran away, so they will definitely know that I leaked the secret. So they may take action in advance." Ren Xiaosu said, "How many bandits are there in the northern group? How many people will come?" "Originally there were 1,200 people, and there should be more recently," Su Jinhun said, "but they won't all come, because they have to fight with 2 other groups in the north. If they all come, they will definitely be taken advantage of by other bandits. According to the plan, 600 people will come." Hearing Su Jinhun's words, Ren Xiaosu, who had been mentally prepared, took a breath of cold air. The bandits in this river valley area have formed a group, and there are so many people? Although not so many people can come when fighting them, 600 people are theoretically enough to crush this refugee settlement. Of course, this is just theory. Ren Xiaosu asked curiously, "Which consortium is the leader of the northern bandits from?" Su Jinhun was stunned for a moment. He seems to have been a member of the Qing family before, but now he has nothing to do with the Qing family. Some people said that he escaped all the way from the 113th barrier and knew Su Xianshu from the 178th barrier, but I haven't seen him contact Su Xianshu, so he should just know him. "Hey, don't you know Mr. Su too? You might know him too." Ren Xiaosu is stunned for a moment. He escaped from the 113th barrier and knew Su Xianshu? This couldn't be someone he knew. What's his name? Wang Konggang. Fuck. Ren Xiaosu was shocked on the spot. Not only did he know this person, but Yang Xiaojun also knew him. Yang Xiaojun recalled, "Isn't he the one who wanted to follow us into the mountain at the beginning?" "That's him," Ren Xiaosu sighed. It's not that enemies don't meet each other. If Su Jinhun hadn't mentioned this name, he would have almost forgotten this person. Wang Konggang was a junior officer in the private army of the 113th barrier. Like Su Xianshu, he was ostracized. Su Xianshu and Wang Konggang were just colleagues and they didn't have much friendship. When he killed Wang Konggang's distant relative, Wang Konggang kept nagging him. It can be said that Wang Konggang was also a meticulous person. He disguised himself so well at the beginning, but he was still targeted by the other party. Later, Yan Liwen said that after he entered Jingshan, Wang Konggang led a team to arrest him. If it weren't for Zhang Jinglan, Yan Liwen and others would be in danger. The cause of this incident was that Ren Xiaosu killed someone, but Ren Xiaosu had nothing to regret about it, so he killed him. But I didn't expect that Wang Konggang didn't die after the collapse of the 113th barrier, but fled to the north and became a big bandit leader. Moreover, he was actually an extraordinary person. Yang Xiaojun asked, "What is his relationship with Su Xianshu?" "I remember Su Xianshu said he had no friends in Barrier 113, Ren Xiaosu said. "This rules out the possibility that Wang Konggang is his friend. Old Su wouldn't lie to me about this." Su Jinhun looked at the expressions of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun, and realized that these two people really knew Su Xianshu. Originally, he thought that Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun might be lying. Have you seen him use his ability? Ren Xiaosu asked. I haven't seen him, Su Jinhun shook his head. When fighting with other bandits, he usually stayed in the rear, so he basically didn't have to take action. Well, Ren Xiaosu nodded and said, no wonder you are a little different from other bandits. Wang Kongyang used to be an officer, so he is naturally good at managing a group of bandits. Brother, what should we do? Su Jinhun asked, should we hide in the river valley first to avoid the limelight? No need, Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, he is only a transcendent, and we have to. We are not afraid. Not only is he not afraid, Ren Xiaosu even wants to find Wang Kongyang to replicate his skills. You know, he still has a perfect level skill learning map in his hand, and it is not cost-effective to learn from Yang Xiaojun. After all, the materialized sniper rifle can only play the best role in the hands of a perfect level gunmaster. He just uses it as a hand cannon. So, it would be great if Wang Kongyang's extraordinary ability was very practical. Ren Xiaosu walked towards the brick hill. He shouted at Jinlan, hurry up and take people to pile all the bricks to the north. Someone is coming to attack us. Hurry up and build fortifications. The enemy may come tonight. It may be a little late to build fortifications now, but they must win this battle. Jinlan and others have been choking for a long time. When they heard that they were going to fight, their eyes were bright. Brother, how do we fight this battle? Ren Xiaosu thought for a while and said, fight as you like. Yang Xiaojun looked at Ren Xiaosu with a smile from behind. She felt that this year might be the most interesting time in the first 18 years of her life. Yang Xiaojun turned and walked towards the wilderness. She didn't have to stay here. Snipers are lone wolves in the wasteland. Lone wolves should look like lone wolves. The wasteland is vast and boundless. When Yang Xiaojun walked into the distance, the desolate land was under her feet and the rushing river was beside her. There were a lot of people to kill tonight, but it was the first time for her to pull the trigger to protect someone. It was really an exciting night. Chapter 356 Thunder. When night fell, Jinlan and the others hid behind the crude fortifications with 2 steamed buns in their pockets. The steamed buns were made by the refugees to help them survive hunger. Ren Xiaosu told them that the bandits from the north might not come tonight, but they had to be prepared. Half of the people would sleep in the first half of the night, and the other half would take turns sleeping in the second half. If there was an enemy, everyone would have to fight quickly. When Ren Xiaosu finished explaining these things to them, he could no longer find Yang Xiaojun. Did you see, did you see your sister-in-law? No, Jinlan said. I saw her going to the wilderness, Su Jinhun said. Ren Xiaosu said, oh, and it seemed that Yang Xiaojun had gone to familiarize herself with the terrain in advance. An excellent sniper on a real battlefield must not cling to commanding height. If he is exposed, he must leave as soon as possible, otherwise he will be shot to death by someone rushing over. Therefore, snipers fight in motion. Fortunately, Su Jinhun said that there were no snipers among the northern bandits, so Yang Xiaojun's risk factor was greatly reduced. And Yang Xiaojun has her advantages. Sniper rifles are very heavy. If a sniper uses a large caliber weapon, then this sniper rifle will definitely become a very heavy burden during her march. Some sniper rifles even weigh 20.9 kilograms, which is equivalent to carrying 2 bags of rice and running wildly in the wilderness. Adult men can hardly bear it. But Yang Xiaojun is different. She can put away the sniper rifle when she evacuates, and the extraordinary people themselves have extraordinary physical fitness and move quickly. A superhuman who becomes a top sniper is definitely the most terrifying existence for the enemy on the battlefield. After eating 2 steamed buns, Ren Xiaosu closed his eyes and rested behind the fortifications. To be honest, he also wanted to go to the wilderness, where he was more suitable for his performance. But before the bandits on their side experienced real battles, they were only a mob of scattered soldiers and braves. If there was no one to stabilize the morale of the army, I am afraid that half of the people would run away before the battle even started. Jinlan got close to Ren Xiaosu and whispered, brother, sister-in-law's supernatural power is a sniper rifle, so what is your supernatural power? To this day, Ren Xiaosu has only used pure physical strength to deal with them, and has no need for supernatural powers, so Jinlan and the others are all guessing what Ren Xiaosu's ability is. Ren Xiaosu glanced at them and said, when the bandits from the north come, you will know. Bring the box of grenades to me and put them here. The bandits next to him were stunned. Aren't they talking about supernatural powers? Why did they suddenly talk about grenades? Could this ability be related to grenades? At this moment, Ren Xiaosu suddenly said, "Here they come. Prepare for battle. The enemy is in the northwest, not the north." Su Jinitun glanced at the wilderness and said, "Brother, where are the people?" The wilderness ahead was clearly pitch black. Where did the enemy come from? No one knew how Ren Xiaosu found the enemy. In fact, Ren Xiaosu had released Shadow at night. They had no scouts, so Ren Xiaosu could only use Shadow as a scout. So when the Shadow met the enemy, Ren Xiaosu knew it, but he did not expose the Shadow, but waited for the enemy to get closer. Then Su Jinitun saw that Ren Xiaosu grabbed a grenade with his right hand, removed the safety pin, and then reached his hand into a black shadow. The shadow was like a door, and reaching his hand in was like traveling to another time and space. Jin Lan and Su Jinitun stared at this scene, not knowing what Ren Xiaosu was going to do. In the distance, the bandits were moving quietly. In order to keep their actions secret, they even took a detour to change their route, and then abandoned their motorcycles and walked forward. While walking in the dark, the bandit in the front row suddenly saw a hand stretched out from the darkness in front of him, and then threw a grenade at his feet. The bandit was stunned for a moment, and when he realized what was going on, he only had time to shout "fuck it." Then, Su Jinitun and others heard the sound of a grenade exploding nearly a kilometer away. Everyone looked at Ren Xiaosu in shock. What kind of ability is this, long-range bombing? Exclamation mark. Not only were they shocked, but even the enemy was shocked. The bandits who were advancing didn't understand what was going on, and they thought they had stepped on a landmine. But where did the landmines come from in this river valley? Exclamation mark. In fact, the longest distance that a grenade thrower in the general army can throw a grenade is just over 100 meters. For example, in Yang's army, the best record of throwing a grenade is only 102 meters. And now, Ren Xiaosu is actually throwing grenades at a distance of 1 kilometer? There is no bunker that cannot be blown up in front of this ability, right? It just feels that this ability is so strange. At this time, the enemy in the distance didn't know who was attacking them, nor could they see where the attack came from, and they didn't even have a target to fight back. Suddenly, a sniper rifle sounded like thunder in the sky, like the sound of thunder behind thick dark clouds. The sound of the large caliber sniper rifle can even be heard several kilometers away. Ren Xiaosu's grenade pointed the direction for Yang Xianjin, and the fire of the grenade illuminated her vision. Su Jinitun and the others understood that the eldest sister-in-law had already taken action, but they didn't find where Yang Xianjin was. Jin Lan and the others roared excitedly, and everyone held their automatic rifles tightly, but after waiting for a long time, no enemy rushed over. In Jin Lan's imagination, the battle should be that they waited for the enemy to come to the door, and then everyone shot, blood splattered, and gunfire was like a dragon. After the enemy collapsed, he, Jin Lan, could shout and chase or something. It was exciting to think about it. In the end, the sound of sniper rifles kept ringing, and the sound of grenades exploding kept coming, and they were like a group of teammates who could only shout 666. After fighting for a long time, they didn't even see the shadow of the enemy. Ren Xiaosu threw grenades while using shadows to observe from the side, but he felt a little strange. The number of this group of bandits was not right. Did they say that there were more than 600 people? Why are there only more than 200 people here? Exclamation mark. No. Ren Xiaosu whispered to Zhang Yan, "Be careful in the northeast direction, the enemy may have split into two groups." Zhang Yan and the others immediately looked to the northeast. There were gullies on the river valley. If the enemy came from there, they could hide in the gullies and move forward, making it hard to defend against them. As he spoke, Ren Xiaosu had already thrown Shadow into the battlefield, but he saw Shadow holding a black knife and quickly harvesting lives in the night. He had to deal with the enemies in this direction as soon as possible, because the enemies in other directions might be coming. Chapter 357 Steam Train. Wang Kongyang was much more difficult to deal with than Ren Xiaosu had imagined. When they were in the market town, Ren Xiaosu had covered up the details almost perfectly, but Wang Kongyang still kept biting him. Now, Ren Xiaosu and his team originally thought that the people in the northwest were the front battlefield, but they found that they had made a wrong judgment. When Shadow met these bandits, Ren Xiaosu immediately judged that the other party had at least hundreds of people, So he subconsciously thought that this was Wang Kongyang's main force. But Wang Kongyang was even more ruthless. He used 200 people as cannon fodder to attract firepower. Wang Kongyang clearly knew that these 200 people would die here, but he didn't care at all. Ren Xiaosu thought to himself that it was no wonder that this guy could gain a foothold in the river valley area. This was not only due to his extraordinary ability, but also his cunning and vicious mind. At this time, the bandits in the northwest had not been killed yet, but the sound of sniper gunfire suddenly stopped. Ren Xiaosu understood in an instant that Yang Xiaojun had also discovered something wrong and was quickly moving his battlefield to find a new high ground for firepower. Without any verbal communication, Yang Xiaojun believed that Ren Xiaosu's shadow could deal with the remaining remnants. Seeing that more than half of the more than 200 bandits in the northwest were gradually killed or injured, they were already scared to death. This inexplicable shadow could not be driven away or killed. And Ren Xiaosu knew that if Wang Kongyang's main force really came from another direction, then they would not be able to defeat him on the front battlefield. Su Jinhun said that Wang Kongyang had heavy firepower RPG rockets. So he had to think of another way. Must avoid the front battlefield. As for what to do with Jinlan and the others, Ren Xiaosu could only bet that Yang Xiaosu could arrive in time. Jinlan looked at the darkness in the northeast and said, "There are gullies over there. If the enemy hides in the gullies and moves forward, I'm afraid my sister-in-law's sniper rifle will hardly be effective." "Can they be so familiar with the terrain?" Zhang Yiheng asked curiously. "If they have never been here, they will probably get lost walking in the gullies, right?" Su Jinhun sighed. "It's my fault. I should have kept it, brother. I think he exposed our information and let this group of bandits know that we have snipers, so the main force specifically chooses places where snipers can't see. And he has worked here for 20 days and is familiar with the terrain. He often goes out at night to explore the terrain." Jinlan was silent for a moment. "What you did was not wrong. It can only be said that everyone has their own choices, so there is no need to feel guilty. As the saying goes, the general does not dismount, and each pursues his own career." Haha. Zhang Yiheng pressed bullets into the magazine one by one beside him. "Jinlan, you are still a cultured person." Jinlan said modestly, "I went to school for a few years. We can't just rely on the sister-in-law's sniper rifle to suppress the enemy. We are all grown men. We have guns in our hands and can kill the enemy," Zhang Yiheng said proudly. Just now, everyone was regretting that the enemy couldn't rush over. Now they are rushing over. Don't be a coward when the time comes. However, at this moment, there was a sound of metal clashing from the void in the night. The strange sound of metal and iron sounded like someone was swinging a sword, or someone was swinging a hammer to hit the iron nail on the steel. The sound came abruptly, but it was extremely powerful. Suddenly, the fog was spreading, and it seemed that a huge monster was rushing towards them in the void. Suddenly, there was a click sound, from nothing to something, from slow to fast. Then, a black steam train rushed out from behind the mist and smashed the gray mist. "Fuck," Jinlan roared, "where the hell is this train from?" The consortium also has trains, but they are limited to very few places and are used to transport minerals and materials. It's not that the consortium can't build them, but the crustal movement in the southwest and northwest regions is too frequent, so the rails need to be maintained at a very high cost. Sometimes the newly built rails may break the next day. How can human power resist an earthquake that can shatter two barriers? But Jinlan and the others all know that there are trains. Jinlan has also seen blurry pictures in the school textbooks. But he can't figure out where this train came from? Exclamation mark. The sound of metal clashing is that when this train moves forward, steel-like tracks emerge from the ground one by one. I saw the rails also fly out of nothingness and then lay themselves under the feet of the black steam train. As it moves forward, the rails behind disappear one by one, and the tracks in front emerge one by one. This steam train has 4 carriages, including the front of the train. Jinlan subconsciously fired at the train, but the problem was that the bullets hit the steam train, and only a few sparks flew. "Get out of the way!" Jinlan roared. But the train rushed towards their simple fortifications, intending to completely break down their defensive positions. The enemy hadn't waited for them, but they had waited for such a steel behemoth. The train was moving very fast, and before Jinlan and the others had time to dodge, the front of the train had already hit a short brick wall, and those brick walls were smashed to pieces like tofu. This is the power of the extraordinary. In this era of the rise of the gods, the power of the extraordinary is becoming stronger and stronger. Who knows how shocking things will happen in the future? Many bandits were killed on the hard and cold train because they could not dodge in time. When the train passed by Jinlan and other bandits who were safe and sound, Jinlan and others watched the steam train crash into the village where the refugees lived. There were mud houses, newly built brick houses, and villagers who cooked for them. Jinlan stared at this scene blankly, and then saw with his own eyes that the house they had just built became a ruin, and the refugees inside were crushed under the bricks and stones. But the steam train that seemed to come from hell was still fine and unscathed. Gunshots rang out, but it was not Jinlan and his team who fired. I saw that the bandits in the northeast, under the cover of the steam train, finally rushed out of the gully of the earth and charged towards Jinlan and his team. A companion beside Jinlan was shot and fell down, and blood flowed from the wound. It was over, as if everything was over. They worked hard to make bricks and build houses, but were easily destroyed by the other side. They met each other every day and called each other brothers, and brothers also died beside them. Su Jinyun hid behind a brick and stone ruin and said blankly, "Has anyone seen the eldest brother?" At this time, they suddenly realized that Ren Xiaosu had disappeared without knowing when. Where is the eldest brother? Who has seen where the eldest brother went? Behind the trembling tone of inquiry, the fear and loneliness of being abandoned were spreading. Did the eldest brother abandon us and run away? The sound of gunfire rang out densely, and the enemy was getting closer and closer. Some bandits began to flee, and they ran towards the wilderness behind them. Although everyone has a sense of belonging here, no one will risk their lives here for this. That beautiful hope is ultimately no match for survival. Some people leave, and some people stay. Zhang Yiheng suddenly said, "I don't believe he will abandon us and run away. He must have more important things to do." "What should we do then?" a bandit asked. "Fuck him," Zhang Yiheng yelled, "we all have guns in our hands. The house I worked so hard to build has been knocked down by me. Open fire and avenge the house and my brothers." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelis. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 358. You are surrounded by me. Humans in desperate situations have only two choices. One is to perish in silence, and the other is to explode in silence. If it were 20 days ago, Zhang Yiheng might have run away now, and Jinlan might have run away too, but today, they have changed. Maybe this change is not big, but it is enough to make them willing to pick up their guns and try to see if they can fight their way out. Even Ren Xiaosu probably didn't expect that this group of bandits could still struggle to fight back in desperation. When they began to fight back on their broken defensive positions, the enemy's advance was immediately delayed for a short time, and the enemy began to suffer casualties. Bullets have no eyes on the battlefield, and human wisdom is fully reflected in the war. The emergence of hot weapons is a transformation in the history of human warfare. Zhang Yiheng hid behind the brick and stone ruins and fired with an automatic rifle. This group of bandits who fought without any rules actually blocked the enemy. But there were people behind these enemies commanding them. After they made a short adjustment, they immediately adapted to the shooting rhythm of Zhang Yiheng and others. Some people crawled on the ground and moved forward quietly, so as to reduce the cross-section of their bullets. Some people continued to rush forward. As soon as Zhang Yiheng and his men showed their heads, they would be shot by the bandits crawling on the ground. Slowly, Zhang Yiheng and his men were beaten and could not show their heads again. The training of Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin was just to unite them and plant a seed of faith in their hearts. This training was not magic, so it could not make a group of bandits who had no military knowledge become brave. This was the suppression of experience, and it was not something that could be trained overnight. The bandits under Wen Konggyang had fought many tough battles, and they had also undergone short-term military training under him. Zhang Yiheng panted and said, "I can't win. It looks like I'm going to die here. What should we do?" Jinlan suddenly laughed. It was a hopeless situation, but he laughed. "Why don't we surrender?" Zhang Yiheng pouted again. "Go ahead and surrender. No wonder there are only about 20 people in your bandit nest, and you're living so miserably. It turns out that you, the leader, are a coward." Jinlan was immediately angry. "I'm just kidding you. Stop attacking me personally." As he said that, Jinlan stood up and fired a burst of bullets. This idiotic strength made the enemy retreat for a while. But no matter how hard they tried, they still had to lose. Tell me, where are the big brother and sister-in-law? Zhang Yiheng sighed. If you don't come, we'll die here. At this moment, Yang Xiaojun's slender figure was running at full speed in the wilderness, and the gullies on the ground could not form any obstacles for her at all. The gunshots from the northeast were getting closer and closer to her. She ran while looking at the twinkling lights ahead. Yang Xiaojun was panting heavily. Even she had to try her best to adjust her breathing rhythm when running at full speed. She could have been more calm on the battlefield, but she knew that time was running out. Yang Xiaojun knew that someone was waiting for her. The next moment, Yang Xiaojun suddenly stopped on a mound. It only took a moment from her body stopping to the sniper rifle suddenly appearing in her raised hand. Take a deep breath. The heartbeat frequency actually began to slow down in an instant, contrary to the physiological mechanism of the human body. Then, the powerful dynamic vision made time seem to stagnate in her eyes. At this time, the anger in her heart turned into the sharp arrows of the gods. With a whoosh, Yang Xiaojun slowly exhaled the air in her lungs, and she pulled the trigger in the rhythm of her breathing. With a bang, the sound of the sniper rifle spread again on the battlefield. The huge bullet passed through a distance of nearly 1,000 meters and came to the center of the battlefield as if it had passed through the long river of time. With a bang, the bullet passed through the chest of an attacking bandit, but it did not stop, and it penetrated the second bandit behind it before disappearing into the darkness. The gray mist that originally appeared due to the arrival of the steam train suddenly turned into blood mist, and the shape of the blood spray was like a beautiful symbol in the air. When Jinlan and Zhang Yiheng heard the sound of the sniper rifle, their hearts were shocked. The long-lost gunshot finally came back. They quietly leaned out and found that the enemy's just-adjusted offensive rhythm was torn apart by one person in one shot. Sister-in-law is too fierce, Jinlan exclaimed. In their sight, one enemy after another was taken away horizontally by the powerful inertia of the bullet. A puff of blood mist was like a flower blooming in the night. At this time, Yang Xiaojun was already lying on the mound. Only in this way could her body support the stability of her high-frequency shooting. This girl in a duckbill cap never disliked how dirty the ground was. She only cared whether her bullets could reach the other side as she wished and bring death to the enemy. This is a sniper. Only when her body is in contact with the ground can she feel truly safe. Only at this moment did she feel that the family cage and the mystery of her parents' death were no longer hovering in her mind. At this moment, she was just a sniper. A sniper who can dominate the wilderness battlefield. In the rhythmic sound of sniper rifles, Zhang Yiheng was like a chicken blood. Everyone, hit him hard, hit him. Su Jinitun fired silently while feeling his blood boiling. He could even feel that his pores seemed to open up in the sound of the sniper rifle. This was a battle he had never felt before. Su Jinitun never thought that just a small-scale battle could be so exciting. Only Jinlan was puzzled and asked, "Sister-in-law is here, but where is brother? Why haven't I seen him yet?" "Although I don't know where brother is," Zhang Yiheng laughed wildly, "but I know he will not miss the opportunity to end this battle with his own hands." At this moment, there was a sudden sound of gunfire from the rear of the enemy, and Zhang Yiheng reacted instantly. Brother is behind the enemy. Fuck. Jinlan didn't know what to say. He originally thought that sister-in-law was very powerful, but it turned out that brother was even more powerful. He actually ran behind the enemy alone. Was he going to cut off the enemy's retreat? Su Jinitun was also a little confused. Brother and sister-in-law are so powerful, then who do you think listens to whom when they are at home? Someone laughed and scolded, "Hey, we are fighting, don't talk about these messed up things." At this moment, Ren Xiaosu was quickly approaching the rear of the enemy from the flank. The trajectory of his mad run was like a parabolic curve. Because of this arc, his body gradually tilted on the ground, like a motorcycle speeding through a corner. The enemy's bullets that tried to stop him all hit the ground and stirred up dust, while Ren Xiaosu made a big circle and came to the rear of the enemy's formation. "You are surrounded by me." Chapter 359 Car Accident Scene. Because of the problem that Ren Xiaosu had in the rear, the enemy had no choice but to allocate a large number of troops to deal with him. The pressure on Jinlan and the others was reduced, which could be clearly felt. However, when the enemy thought that Ren Xiaosu would charge into their formation, they were shocked to find that Ren Xiaosu rushed in with such a fierce momentum, but he always stayed outside their effective range, just like flying a kite, approaching and leaving. Ren Xiaosu did not hold back. He frantically ran nanorobots in parts of his body to avoid being shot. Even if he was shot, he could immediately use nanorobots to resist. In fact, this was a very wise approach. After all, Ren Xiaosu was immortal. How could he withstand the shooting of hundreds of people? Once he had the intention to approach, the other side would quickly create a network of interwoven firepower in front of him. Don't mention him, even a mosquito could be shot to death. But the enemy was puzzled as to where your initial bravery was. Didn't you say that you would complete the feat of encircling the enemy alone? Why don't you go ahead? He's stalling for time. Someone shouted. Indeed. Someone said, this guy is always hanging us, not letting us face the front battlefield with peace of mind, but he just won't get close. This is purely to attract firepower and delay time. But what is he waiting for? A bandit asked in confusion. But at this moment, a black shadow suddenly appeared on the horizon in the distance. The black shadow could cross more than 10 meters in one step when running wildly, which was very scary. The heavy footsteps like rapid drum beats were getting closer and closer. This was the rescuer that Ren Xiaosu had been waiting for with great effort to delay time, coming from afar. Some bandits opened fire when they saw the black shadow approaching, but the black shadow did not dodge or avoid, and resisted all the gunfire. What is this? A bandit exclaimed. Why is it not afraid of bullets? No, run. But want to run now? It's too late. But the black shadow like a wild bull collided with the crowd in an instant, and the powerful inertia was like a cannonball, knocking all the bandits in a straight line in front of it into the sky, like a toy puppet had had a car accident. The bandit who was hit felt that his bones were all broken, and then he turned uncontrollably in the sky. One after another, the bandits flew into the sky, just like an acrobatic troupe performing a flying trapeze, but this was probably the worst flying trapeze in history. The bandits had no intention of shooting anymore. When this force that was strong enough to crush them appeared, the bandits began to panic. The strange black shadow was too powerful to kill, and they didn't even have the ability to resist. Outside the battlefield, Ren Xiaosu controlled the shadow to rush around while looking for Wang Kongyang's trace in the crowd. Because the shadow kept getting shot, Ren Xiaosu had been enduring the pain transmitted to him by the bullets through the shadow. A lot of sweat flowed from his head and back because of the pain. Ren Xiaosu is still looking for Wang Kongyang. To catch a thief, you must first catch the king. Ren Xiaosu was moving at high speed, and the stray bullets on the battlefield were flying everywhere and he couldn't defend himself. He had blocked bullets twice with nanorobots, and the bullets could only scratch his skin when they reached his skin, but could not penetrate the defense tissue formed by the nanorobots. But after searching for a long time, the nanorobots ran out of energy, and he didn't even see where Wang Kongyang was. Jin Lan, who was at the forefront of the battlefield, had already discovered that the enemy had begun to lose their composure. The enemy, who was without a commander, began to panic because of the appearance of a powerful force in the rear. Under the cover of Yang Xiaojun's firepower, Zhang Yiheng and his men even dared to rush out of the broken fortifications to fight back, and the bandits, who were at a loss, began to collapse. But until this time, Ren Xiaosu hadn't found Wang Kongyang. Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. Could it be that Wang Kongyang didn't come? No, the train that came out of nothingness was clearly the work of Wang Kongyang. In fact, when he saw the steam train, a doubt in Ren Xiaosu's heart was solved. Earlier, the refugees in the market town always said that someone saw a train coming from nothingness to reality in the wilderness. That was the power of the extraordinary. At that time, Ren Xiaosu was envious. This was the earliest legend about the extraordinary in the market town, and Ren Xiaosu was tired of hearing it. Many people said that the refugee was confused, so he made a mistake. And that train never appeared again. Ren Xiaosu had also wondered, could there be other extraordinary people in the 113th barrier? But no one had seen it. Now thinking about it, the train that appeared in the wilderness was probably Wang Kongyang testing his abilities. So, the legend was true, and the time when Wang Kongyang became an extraordinary person was probably the earliest among the extraordinary people. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu suddenly realized that Wang Kongyang might have seen that the situation was hopeless and had already escaped. He looked at the river valleys and gullies on the northern land. Maybe Wang Kongyang was escaping in those gullies, and those crisscrossing and rugged gullies became the umbrella for Wang Kongyang to hide his body. Ren Xiaosu stopped looking, and he began to chase to the north as if gambling on his luck. If his judgment was correct, then maybe he still had time to catch this guy. After running only 2 kilometers, Ren Xiaosu suddenly saw a figure coming out of the gully in the distance, about 1 kilometer away from each other. Ren Xiaosu confirmed that this was Wang Konggang, and the other party really escaped in advance. The bandit organization that this man had worked so hard to build was about to disappear, but for him, all of this seemed insignificant. When he saw the shadow coming, he chose to abandon all the burdens and escape alone. Because the moment Wang Konggang saw the shadow, he thought it was Su Xianshu. In Wang Konggang's view, if 3 extraordinary people, Ren Xiaosu, Su Xianshu, and Yang Xianjun, fought against him alone, he would definitely lose. The bandits who escaped from Ren Xiaosu told Wang Konggang that Ren Xiaosu was from the 178th barrier and was a good friend of Su Xianshu. At that time, Wang Konggang knew very well that although there was some water in these words, it was true that Ren Xiaosu and Zhang Jinglan had a very good relationship. If Ren Xiaosu really came with a mission of the 178th barrier, he would probably not be able to gain a foothold in the river valley area. Even if he didn't come to find Ren Xiaosu would go to him. Wang Konggang couldn't tell what the truth was. He just wanted to try to kill Ren Xiaosu once and for all before Ren Xiaosu was fully prepared. But whether he succeeds or not, he has to go directly to the central plains away from the river valley, where there is a wider world. Therefore, when Wang Konggang heard the name Ren Xiaosu, he had the idea of abandoning his bandits. He couldn't take the bandits to the central plains, and he looked down on them. Ren Xiaosu chased behind him. He thought he should be able to catch up with Wang Konggang easily, but at this time, the mysterious and strange black steam train suddenly came from the wilderness, completely ignoring the ruggedness of the river valley, as if it was driving on flat ground. Chapter 360 Replica of the Extraordinary. The steam train went straight to Wang Konggang. When it reached Wang Konggang jumped and grabbed an iron handle of the steam train. Then his body stuck to the outside of the carriage and went away to the north with the steam train. Wang Konggang breathed a sigh of relief, but when he looked back, he suddenly saw Ren Xiaosu running at full speed behind the train. What the hell? Question mark. Why is there someone following behind him? When Wang Konggang ran away, he didn't notice that someone was following him, and he didn't think anyone could find him. As a result, when he looked back and saw Ren Xiaosu, he frowned. At this time, the two of them were truly one-on-one. Wang Konggang thought about whether to control the train to go back and kill Ren Xiaosu. As one of the first people to become a superhuman, his physical fitness must be better than Ren Xiaosu. But after careful consideration, he gave up this idea. Although he was one of the first people to become a superhuman, and his physical fitness must be the best among the superhumans, but there was no guarantee that Ren Xiaosu had any killer moves. Wang Konggang was unwilling to take this risk. He grabbed the train with one hand, then calmly looked back at Ren Xiaosu, as if he wanted to imprint Ren Xiaosu's face in his mind. The strong wind blew over him, fluttering his clothes. Wait! Wang Konggang suddenly realized that Ren Xiaosu was getting closer and closer to him. He immediately felt something was wrong, and hurriedly urged the steam train to move with all his strength, wanting to completely get rid of Ren Xiaosu. Wang Konggang had been very unhappy during this period of time. He became a bandit leader very quickly after coming here, which was good. However, before he had been in office for long, he found that the power of several financial groups was intertwined in this river valley area, and even being a bandit was stressful. He wanted to kill Ren Xiaosu, but Ren Xiaosu teamed up with Su Xianshu to disperse his bandits. Now he just wanted to leave here, but Ren Xiaosu was chasing him like a ghost. Wang Konggang took out his pistol and shot at Ren Xiaosu, but they were far apart and Ren Xiaosu was not within his effective range at all. However, Wang Konggang was suddenly delighted because he found that Ren Xiaosu's speed was gradually slowing down. He was afraid that his physical strength was about to run out. Should he kill Ren Xiaosu while he was running out of physical strength? Forget it, in case he was cheated. Sure enough, Wang Konggang had just decided to give up killing him, but Ren Xiaosu saw that he was not fooled and chased him forward again. The two of them calculated each other. When Ren Xiaosu increased his speed, Wang Konggang also gritted his teeth and increased his speed. In fact, Ren Xiaosu had already scolded Wang Konggang in his heart. His endurance was limited. This steam train was almost the speed of a normal train, and the limit was about 120 kilometers per hour. and Ren Xiaosu's strength and agility were now more than 3 times that of an ordinary person, and the speed was just over 100 kilometers per hour. But human physical endurance is limited. Even Ren Xiaosu is the same. Ren Xiaosu tried to trick Wang Konggang to turn back again and again, but this bastard was too smart and cautious, and he was not fooled at all. Forget it, I won't chase him anymore. Ren Xiaosu was panting and ready to stop. He wanted to start the city destroyer, but the problem was that the city destroyer only lasted for 30 seconds, and the nanorobots hadn't finished charging yet. What if he caught up and was beaten by the opponent? Shadow was still helping Jinlan and the others kill the enemy. Without Shadow, it was unknown how many people Jinlan and the others would die. So, Ren Xiaosu decided to give up the future. But he suddenly remembered that he still had something to do. Ren Xiaosu said to the palace in his mind, "Use the perfect level skill learning map." At this time, the palace suddenly replied, "Exceeding the use distance." Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. What is the use distance? 500 meters. Ren Xiaosu took a look at the distance between the two sides, and decisively started the city destroyer and chased forward. Wang Konggang was scared to death when he saw this scene. How could Ren Xiaosu be so fast? But before he could figure out how to deal with it, he saw Ren Xiaosu suddenly approaching and turned around and ran. Wang Konggang was gradually going away on the steam train. He didn't understand what Ren Xiaosu was doing. He had the strength to catch up, so why didn't he chase? How could he know that Ren Xiaosu's real tough time was only those 30 seconds? If he didn't run after the 30 seconds, was he waiting to be beaten? At this time, Ren Xiaosu heard the palace say in his mind, "The target master level skill or supernatural ability will be randomly drawn. If you don't have the corresponding advanced skill after drawing the master level skill, you will not be able to learn it. The supernatural ability steam train has been drawn. Do you want to learn it?" Ren Xiaosu was ecstatic. Learn it. Before, Ren Xiaosu was worried about drawing some rubbish skills, but he didn't expect to draw the opponent's extraordinary ability. The previous depression was swept away, and the bad luck of skipping rubber ropes, playing mahjong, and cheating seemed to be far away from him. But in a moment, Ren Xiaosu was stunned. Could this be the luck bonus given to him by Yan Luoyuan? If so, Yan Luoyuan would probably be backfired, right? But what will the backlash be? Is it dangerous? Thinking of this, Ren Xiaosu wanted to retreat. He wanted to go back to see Li Yuan. Maybe he could find a chance to bring Yan Luoyuan and the others to the wilderness? It's just that I don't know when Qingzhen will rescue Luolan. It shouldn't be too far away. At this time, Yan Luoyuan was sitting in the yard playing landlord with Wang Fugia and the others. He looked at the scattered cards in his hand, 3,456 without 7, and the biggest card in his hand was a K. He suddenly fell into deep thought. He was not unlucky with just this hand of cards, but he was unlucky all night. Seeing that Wang Fuga next to him beat him 4 times in one night, all the luck that was backlashed was added to Wang Fuga. I shouldn't have encountered anything particularly dangerous, right? Yan Luoyuan muttered in a low voice. Since my brother's nanorobots can block bullets, there seems to be no serious backlash. But if there is a backlash of bad luck in getting cards, what kind of situation will my brother encounter? Yan Luoyuan took another look at the cards in his hand. What a sin. At this moment, Yan Luoyuan and Ren Xiaosu had not yet realized that their abilities always complemented each other invisibly. Without Ren Xiaosu, Yan Luoyuan would be troubled by the backlash of the curse. Without Yan Luoyuan, Ren Xiaosu might not be able to successfully draw the steam train. Ren Xiaosu in the wilderness tried to summon the strange train, and black smoke overflowed from the air. A black steam train appeared from nothing. The sound of the steel clashing was particularly pleasant in the wilderness. With a hum, the chimney on the front of the steam train spewed out billowing black smoke, but Ren Xiaosu was suddenly stunned. He carefully counted the carriages at the back of the steam train. Wang Kongyang's steam train had only 4 carriages, but why did this have as many as 16? Chapter 361. I'm in a good mood today. When Ren Xiaosu returned to the battlefield, only the corpses of the enemies were left in the valley. Not long after Wang Konggang escaped, the fierce bandits from the north were defeated. Most of these bandits fled into the wilderness and disappeared. Jin Lan and Zhang Yan were thanking Shadow madly. Mr. Su didn't expect you to help in person. Thank you so much. Ren Xiaosu's eyelids jumped when he heard these thanks. He didn't even receive a thank you coin. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu wanted to show his cards. That was not Su Xianchu's shadow, that was my shadow. But Ren Xiaosu held back after all, because he hadn't figured out how to explain to Su Xianchu. Ren Xiaosu said to Shadow, "Old Su, go back and tell Commander Zhang that a large bandit force in this valley area has been dispersed by us. There were only 3 large bandit forces in the valley area, and now one of them has disappeared. Those escaped bandits may surrender to other bandit organizations, but this battle was won firmly." Jin Lan heard this and wondered if Ren Xiaosu was going to ask Su Xianchu to go back and ask for credit for them. Ren Xiaosu said, "Ahem, I'll ask old Su to go to the 178th fortress to make everyone proud. Maybe the commander will let you join the 178th fortress if he's happy. Do you know what to do?" Just as Ren Xiaosu was waiting for everyone to say thank you to him, he heard Jin Lan and Zhang Yiheng bow 90 degrees to the shadows. "Thank you, Master Su." Ren Xiaosu. "Is this a rebellion?" Exclamation mark. Yang Xiaojin came from the wilderness, her expression full of fatigue. She made great contributions to the battle tonight. If it weren't for her, Jin Lan and the others would have been gone long ago. Yang Xiaojin looked at Ren Xiaosu and asked, "How many of us were killed or wounded?" The excitement between Jin Lan's eyebrows faded immediately, and he sighed. "More than 100 brothers died, the house we just built was gone, and the villagers were also injured. Let's treat the brothers' injuries first." Ren Xiaosu took out 10 bottles of black medicine and handed them to Jin Lan. "Take out all the bullets. This is my ancestral secret recipe. Just apply it directly on the wound. 1 bottle is enough to apply it to the wound 5 or 6 times. Don't take it internally. Winning the battle is certainly gratifying, but what happens after the victory? The dead will never come back to life." Zhang Yiheng stood on the devastated wasteland with a confused look in his eyes. The refugees were crying in the distance. Most of the refugees' mud houses were knocked down by the steam train. There was not a single brick and stone house left, and even the canals were crushed into a mess. "I'm afraid it would be good if half of the crops that had just been sown could sprout." Zhang Yiheng walked slowly through the crowd. The injured brothers were crying in pain, while the uninjured brothers stayed by their side and comforted them quietly. He walked to a refugee, and a little child suddenly cried and shouted at him, "It's all your fault. You are here to track those bandits." However, before Zhang Yiheng could say anything, the child's mother suddenly slapped him. "Don't talk nonsense." The child's mother looked at Zhang Yiheng and said, "I know you are all good people in your bones. I don't blame you." Zhang Yiheng was stunned for a long time and said nothing. Ren Xiaosu called him, "Do you regret it?" Zhang Yiheng was stunned in place, and he suddenly said, "Actually, I am not that sad. After so many years, everyone knows what this world is like. Separation and death are commonplace. I didn't even cry when my father left." "Then what are you thinking about?" Ren Xiaosu asked. Zhang Yiheng said firmly, "I was just thinking, if we are stronger, can we save them from this suffering?" Ren Xiaosu looked at him and said, "All the houses we built have collapsed." Jin Lan next to him said, "We can rebuild them if they collapse. I saw that the brick kiln is fine. Even if the brick kiln has an accident, we can still build another 1, 2, 3. Zhang Yiheng's tone suddenly became firm. Ren Xiaosu looked at these bandits. In fact, these bandits didn't have any strengths. Most of them had never been to school and were illiterate. As a bandit, they couldn't even use guns well. But when he went to search the rear, this group of bandits was not dispersed, and now they have hope in these ruins. Ren Xiaosu suddenly realized that maybe these bandits are still useless today, but from today on, their fate really began to change. On that day, Jin Lan took the lead in putting the wounded in the intact earth houses, and some refugees also took the initiative to take care of them. At first, they all thought that it would be difficult for the wounded to survive, because the bacteria today are very scary. If there's a wound, there is a 90% chance of infection, even in the early spring when the weather is very cold. Ren Xiaosu was infected after being pecked by a sparrow. But they were shocked to find that the black medicine Ren Xiaosu gave them was really effective. As soon as they applied it to the brothers' wounds, everyone said that it didn't hurt. Moreover, the wounds began to heal the next day, and the effect was very fast. Everyone looked at Ren Xiaosu with more and more admiration. Especially when Jin Lan and others mentioned that Ren Xiaosu went alone to attract firepower, everyone's eyes were shining. In the eyes of Jin Lan and others, this was the respect that Ren Xiaosu earned with his life, so they admired him sincerely. With the refugees helping to take care of the wounded, Jin Lan and others had time to make new bricks. They dug out all the blue bricks that could be used in the ruins, and reopened the brick hill. Yang Xiaojun said beside Ren Xiaosu, "Do you feel that these people seem to be more energetic, and their eyes are full of hope?" "I feel it," Ren Xiaosu said with emotion. "Maybe it's because there is no construction without destruction. These people are reborn. I'm going to teach them guns. There should be a few of them who are suitable to be snipers. They are calm and can endure hardships," Yang Xiaojun said. During this day, Jin Lan and others would try Yang Xiaojun whenever they had nothing to do, asking when they would learn guns and when snipers would be selected. A battle made them see their own shortcomings, but the most important thing was that the powerful firepower suppression displayed by Yang Xiaojun in the battle was too terrible. Although everyone knows that it is basically impossible for them to achieve what Yang Xiaojun has done, being a sniper is definitely the dream of everyone now. As for being as fierce as Ren Xiaosu to surround all the enemies by himself, this kind of thing is too far away from them. Jin Lan, Zhang Yiheng and others dare not even think about it. Ren Xiaosu thought for a while and said, "When the situation here stabilizes, I plan to go back to the barrier and find a chance to bring Liu Yuan and the others here." Yang Xiaojun smiled and said, "Have you decided to settle down here?" "Yes," Ren Xiaosu nodded, and he suddenly said abruptly, "Have you decided?" Yang Xiaojun was stunned for a moment. She put her hands in her pockets and walked away. "I'm in a good mood today." Chapter 362 There is a traitor. Post-war reconstruction is a very painful thing, because it means you have to clear the ruins before you can build new buildings. You have to experience pain before you can get a new life. Ren Xiaosu took the lead in burying his dead companions. He originally wanted to carve tombstones for these people one by one, but later he found that some of these bandits didn't even have names. If Ren Xiaosu hadn't established this community, I'm afraid these people would be forgotten after they died. He took out a notebook and a pen from the storage space. Ren Xiaosu handed it to Yang Xiaojun and said, "Register the living people. This is a roster in the future. The first thing a regular army should have is a roster, which means that everyone will be recorded, and it also means that everyone on this roster will be recognized." But when Yang Xiaojun started to record, she had a headache. These bandits didn't let her remember their real names, but asked her to remember nicknames, such as rats, crows, earthbits, rotten eggs. "It doesn't sound like a serious person," Yang Xiaojun said patiently. "The roster requires real names, and your nicknames." Jin Lan laughed cheerfully. "Sister-in-law, just give them nicknames. If you call them by their real names when you call out their names, they may not react. We are all bandits, and bandits are called by nicknames." Yang Xiaojun thought about it and smiled. "Okay." However, at this moment, Su Jinyun, who was in charge of leading the team to deal with the ruins, suddenly came over and said to Ren Xiaosu, "Brother, we found something under the ruins." Ren Xiaosu looked at the thing in Su Jinyun's hand. It was actually a satellite phone. Seeing that the satellite phone was broken, he curiously asked Su Jinyun, "Where did you find it?" "It was under the ruins of our brick house, hidden under the bed," Su Jinyun said. "There were 20 people in the shop in one room. I recall that the bed was slept by a bandit named Lao Diao." "Where is this Lao Diao?" Ren Xiaosu said. "Call him to question him." "He's dead," Su Jinyun said, "so I secretly came to ask you, brother, what to do." Ren Xiaosu frowned. A satellite phone is definitely not something that a bandit can own. The owner of this satellite phone must have used it to contact the outside consortium and report information. I just don't know which consortium this satellite phone is contacting. Qing family? Or Zong family? Both are possible. These two consortiums have coveted the River Valley area for a long time, and who knows how many informants they have planted. Don't make it public yet. If it's not Brother Lao Diao's, it will ruin his reputation after his death, Ren Xiaosu said. This satellite phone may also belong to someone else. At this time, Ren Xiaosu even suspected that the phone belonged to Su Jinyun. He had read a detective novel in 88 Barrier. In the novel, it said that more than 40% of the witnesses and discoverers of murders are the real murderers. However, Ren Xiaosu did not make it public and let Su Jinyun continue to work. Yang Xiaojun came over and asked, "What's wrong?" "I'm afraid we can't stay here," Ren Xiaosu said. "After we go back to pick up Yan Liwen and the others, we will go northwest and find a hidden place to settle down again. The situation here may have been leaked. If it's the Qing family, it's okay. But if the Zhuang family has planted pawns here, we won't be able to resist when the Zhuang family's army sweeps over. Yet, Yang Xiaojun agreed with this view. She didn't think there was anything wrong with Ren Xiaosu being cautious. The reason why the Zhuang family had a headache fighting bandits was that the bandits were roaming around. If they settled here, it would be very easy for the Zhuang family to deal with them, so Ren Xiaosu wanted to go into the mountains and find a new place to settle down. That night, Jin Lan went to find Ren Xiaosu, but when he got close to him, he heard Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojun whispering, "Northern bandits have harmed us and killed our brothers. I have already contacted Lao Su. He will lead a team here next week. Then we will settle accounts with the northern bandits together." Jin Lan was a big mouth. He knew about this, which basically meant that everyone in the entire settlement knew about it. Ren Xiaosu looked at Jin Lan. "What do you want to ask me?" The days Jin Lan came back to his senses. "Brothers want to ask you." "I forgot what I wanted to ask." "Then go back and think about it before coming back," Ren Xiaosu said unhappily. After Jin Lan went back, the news that Su Xianchu would lead a team here tomorrow spread. The bandits were all stunned when they heard this. They all discussed loudly, saying that the people brought by Master Su must be from the 178th fortress. They must behave well tomorrow and not embarrass their elder brother Ren Xiaosu. The days of post-disaster reconstruction were very dull. No one would always indulge in sadness and pain. Life had to go on. Jin Lan and others worked harder than before. Everyone was still thinking about those motorcycles. 3 days later, in the middle of the night, when everyone was asleep, a figure sneaked out of the settlement. The settlement was not quiet, and the snoring of the bandits came one after another. When the man was about to leave the settlement, he suddenly looked back at the settlement. His eyes seemed to be a little nostalgic, but after struggling for a minute, he continued to run north. He was going to leave here and head north. However, before he ran 2 steps, the figure saw Ren Xiaosu sitting in a shadow and looking at him with a smile. Ren Xiaosu laughed cheerfully. "So it's you. What's your nickname, Mouse?" The bandit named Mouse knelt down on the spot. I had no choice." "Whose family are you from?" Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. Mouse whispered, "I was originally in the bandit den of Dingyin Mountain in the north. The leader of the Dingyin Mountain stronghold asked me to come to Dabin Mountain. Later, I followed the bandits of Dabin Mountain to come here, but there were others behind him." "You are quite honest and confessed everything," Ren Xiaosu sighed. Mouse was a little anxious. "I don't want to leave either, but even if I stay, I won't be able to survive if the people of Dingyin Mountain spread the news that I am a traitor. This is the embarrassment of being a traitor. A wrong start leads to a wrong end." These days, Mouse has also been tempted and wants to live a good life here, but can he stay? "I'm afraid that neither side will let him go by then." "Is that thing yours?" Ren Xiaosu asked, but he didn't mention what it was. "Why are you carrying that?" Mouse said, "The satellite phone was issued by the leader earlier, and it is used to transmit messages." Ren Xiaosu nodded. This made sense. But how should he deal with this mouse? Let him go? Ren Xiaosu was not so kind. But thinking of the time they had spent together these days, Ren Xiaosu felt a little melancholy. Ren Xiaosu said softly, "If you don't leave and don't betray me, I may not do anything to you if something happens in the future." Su Jinitun was also here to be a traitor, but he made the right choice. "Mouse, let's be bandits together in the next life." It's not possible in this life. Chapter 363 Hidden Trouble. This rat was quite patient. He found an opportunity to leave on the 3rd day after Ren Xiaosu released the news. But Ren Xiaosu had not slept well these days, just to find out this spy who might still be alive. He had to find him, because if he kept such a person, even if they moved to other places in the future, they might be found by the Zhuang family before they grew stronger. Ren Xiaosu felt that the group of bandits in the north should be backed by the Zhuang family. He had no evidence, but in the original plan, Zhuang Cheng was going to take them to Shangying Mountain, Lianta Mountain, and Dingyin Mountain. So Ren Xiaosu felt that the place where Zhuang Cheng was going must be very unusual, and it might even be the bandits' lair controlled by the Zhuang family. But what did Zhuang Cheng want to do by taking them to Dingyin Mountain as planned? To unite his own bandits to put on a show for the Yang family consortium? Ren Xiaosu felt that this matter was not that simple. Horizontal ellipsis. At this time in the northern wilderness, Wang Kongyang was walking alone on a small path between hills and gullies, but as he walked, his steps suddenly slowed down. "Come out," Wang Konggyang said coldly. But a young man came out from behind the mound in front of him. He said to Wang Konggyang with a warm smile, "Chief Wang, you have been waiting for a long time. Let me introduce myself. I am Zhuang Cheng of the Zhuang clan." Wang Konggyang looked around and asked, "Are you here alone?" "Of course not," Zhuang Cheng said with a smile. "How can I come alone to deal with you?" As soon as he finished speaking, another 30 soldiers came out from behind the mound. However, Wang Konggyang suddenly felt that these 30 soldiers were a little strange, like puppets, unnatural. Normal humans are not like this at all. He frowned and said, "What do you want from me?" Wang Konggyang thought that Zhuang Cheng didn't know where he got the news of his escape, and he actually calculated that he would pass by here, so he blocked here in advance. If Ren Xiaosu was there, he would have noticed something wrong. Obviously, the satellite phone of the traitor had been smashed during the battle. How did the mouse pass the message to Zhuang Cheng? "You and I have been dealing with each other for quite some time," Zhuang Cheng said with a smile. "You are one of the most formidable opponents of my Zhuang family in the River Valley area. I didn't expect that you would end up in such a situation today." "What do you know?" Wang Konggyang sneered. If he was not afraid of the power of the 178 barrier, what could Ren Xiaosu do to him? "When have I ever dealt with you?" "Oh, I see. The bandits in Dingyan Mountain are from your Zhuang family. It's easy to talk to smart people," Zhuang Cheng said. "I'm curious, do you have any grudge against Ren Xiaosu?" Wang Konggyang said disdainfully, "It's none of your business. A second-generation ancestor of a consortium also comes to hang out with bandits. Aren't you ashamed?" Zhuang Cheng didn't care. "This River Valley area has always been the territory of my Zhuang family. My Zhuang family should have the power to control this place. But you, Chief Wang, are a little strange. Why would you, who have always been cautious, go all out to kill Ren Xiaosu? I'm afraid it's the revenge for the murder of his wife and the loss of his son that makes sense." At this time, Wang Konggyang's mind raced, and he suddenly said, "I have been enemies with Ren Xiaosu at the 113th barrier. He killed my brother, so I killed him, isn't it right?" Zhuang Cheng asked curiously, "Then do you know about Ren Xiaosu? I heard that he had a good relationship with Zhang Jinglan at the 113th barrier, and Zhang Jinglan was willing to let him take over the job. Isn't it because he has a fancy to him and wants Ren Xiaosu to be the next commander of the 178th barrier? If you go and kill him, aren't you afraid that the 178th barrier will settle accounts with you?" Wang Konggyang laughed, and he said half-truthfully, "Where did you get this news? I was at the 113th barrier at that time. Zhang Jinglan was teaching at the town school, and Ren Xiaosu was just a substitute teacher at the school. If he had a good relationship with Zhang Jinglan, would I dare to kill him? You have all been deceived by him." At this time, Wang Konggyang was harboring evil intentions. He was afraid that Zhuang Cheng would be afraid of the relationship between Ren Xiaosu and Zhang Jinglan and would not dare to take action against Ren Xiaosu. Wang Konggyang thought for 2 seconds and said, "You may not know that I sent someone to escort Zhang Jinglan from barrier 113 to barrier 178, but do you think that a person in a high position like Zhang Jinglan would be friends with ordinary people?" Zhuang Cheng frowned. Why was what Wang Konggyang said so different from what Ren Xiaosu said? However, they had been dealing with Wang Konggyang for so long that they knew that Wang Konggyang was not a reckless person. Was it because Ren Xiaosu and Zhang Jinglan didn't have a good relationship that Wang Konggyang dared to go to Ren Xiaosu? Zhuang Cheng smiled and said, "You want me to avenge you? Why don't you join us and we can avenge you together?" Wang Konggyang smiled and stepped back, saying, "After Wang Konggyang left the 113th barrier, he never worked for anyone again. I only work for myself." "That's really a pity," Zhuang Cheng said regretfully, "but you killed so many bandits under my Zhang family. I'm afraid it's not appropriate to leave like this. You also want to keep me?" Wang Konggyang laughed. "That depends on whether you have the ability." As soon as the voice fell, Wang Konggyang suddenly saw the faces of the 30 soldiers behind Zhuang Cheng suddenly lit up with silver lines, and then rushed towards him. The speed of the soldiers was far beyond Wang Konggyang's imagination. He even felt that they were 30 ordinary extraordinary people. Nano warriors. Wang Konggyang was in doubt. Although he had heard of the name of Nano warriors, he had never seen them with his own eyes. But Wang Konggyang couldn't figure it out. Aren't there only Li and Yang families who have Nano warriors? Why does this Zhuang Cheng also have Nano warriors? However, Wang Kongyang was well prepared. In just a moment, the rough and cold steam train had already entered reality, and drove Wang Kongyang in the opposite direction. A nano-warrior jumped and grabbed the handle on the side of the steam train, as if he wanted to climb onto the steam train to strangle Wang Kongyang, but what surprised Ong Cheng was that Wang Kongyang kicked the nano-warrior down with one foot. The power of this kick was far beyond Ong Cheng's imagination. This was not the power that an ordinary extraordinary person could possess. This Wang Kongyang was actually the best among the extraordinary people. When the nano-warrior was kicked down, his body blocked the nano-warriors chasing behind. When they stood up again and wanted to catch up, they found that the steam train had already moved away at a speed of 120 kilometers per hour. Suddenly, bandits came out of the ravine in the distance and fired at the steam train, but Wang Kongyang had already drilled into the train, and the bandits could not hurt Wang Kongyang at all. There was also a bandit who fired an RPG on his shoulder, but surprisingly, even if the RPG hit the steam train, it only made the strange steam train shake. Wang Kongyang suddenly vomited blood in the car. He wiped the blood from his mouth and said fiercely, "You, the Zhong family, are just hyenas. I wonder how long you can survive in this northwest." Zhong Cheng watched the steam train leave with a calm face. He knew that he underestimated Wang Kongyang's methods. However, the information revealed by Wang Kongyang made him fall into deep thought. Zhong Cheng looked at the nano-warriors who were like puppets. He was thinking before that if he could control a Ren Xiaosu and Yang Xiaojin, the situation in the northwest would change again. Now, should the plan continue? Chapter 364, Going to the countryside to bring warmth. In the settlement, Jin Lan suddenly ran towards Ren Xiaosu like crazy. "Brother, the people delivering things are here." Ren Xiaosu was puzzled. "What people delivering things?" "It's the people who sent us guns and motorcycles before," Jin Lan shouted. "I saw their convoy on the hillside. They are almost here. Let's go and take a look." Ren Xiaosu led Jin Lan to the east, and Yang Xiaojin started to choose sniper points without saying a word to prevent a conflict between the two sides. During this period of time, Ren Xiaosu often heard the bandits say that someone in the river valley area sent food and weapons, but he had never seen it with his own eyes. Ren Xiaosu stood on a mound and looked at the other party's convoy. There was no logo on the body of the car. At this time, he found that this convoy seemed to be very familiar with the river valley area. Where there were ditches and rivers, they were all clear. It seems that this group of people have been busy in the river valley area for many years. The convoy has not arrived yet, and the people in the car saw Ren Xiaosu and his friends and began to wave from afar, as friendly as meeting a fellow villager. However, the convoy did not get closer, but stopped far away at the foot of a low slope. 30 people jumped out of the car and slowly walked towards them. The formation seemed loose and casual, but it always maintained an attack formation. The soldiers on both wings held their guns at an angle, and their guns had been loaded and could fire at any time. The temperament of these soldiers made Ren Xiaosu feel very familiar. Suddenly, Ren Xiaosu felt that the leader looked familiar, but he couldn't remember where he had seen him. After the group slowly approached, the leader smiled and said, "Old fellow, who is in charge here?" Ren Xiaosu laughed cheerfully and said, "I'm in charge. Who are you?" The other party smiled and said, "I'm here to deliver guns and supplies to you." He looked as friendly as a consortium entering the barrier factory to deliver rice to the people of the barrier. Ren Xiaosu glanced at him. "Are you from the Qing family?" The other party raised his eyebrows and said, "No." "Why do you look so familiar to me?" Ren Xiaosu asked puzzledly. "Have we met somewhere before?" The other party smiled and said, "I feel you look a little familiar too. Maybe we are destined to meet." As he spoke, the soldiers behind the speaker began to make subtle movements. Everyone holding the automatic rifle put their right hand on the trigger. They felt that the atmosphere was not right. Could someone be ambushing them here? Ren Xiaosu glanced at them. Seeing that the atmosphere was getting more and more tense, he decided to speak frankly. "I am Ren Xiaosu." Jin Lan and others were confused. What was the big brother doing? What surprised them was that when the other party heard the three words Ren Xiaosu, he was suddenly stunned, and then looked at Ren Xiaosu carefully. "Are you Ren Xiaosu?" Jin Lan and others' jaws almost dropped. Is their big brother so famous? It seems that this group of bandits still don't know their big brother well enough. Ren Xiaosu asked, "How do I need to prove it?" The other party thought for a while and said, "What did Boss Luo give you?" Ren Xiaosu paused. "A silk banner." "Ha ha ha, The other party suddenly laughed. It's really you. Hello, my name is Su Man. Su Man was very polite, while Jin Lan and others were confused. What is a silk banner? Jin Lan asked curiously. Big brother, were you a doctor before? In the impression of Jin Lan and others, it seems that only doctors can receive silk banners these days. Ren Xiaosu looked at Jin Lan and the others. Ahem, you have also used that black medicine for healing. Back then in Jingshan, it was Su Man who discovered Ren Xiaosu's traces, and the two of them had a conflict. But it was night, and the two sides did not fight at close range, and Ren Xiaosu's face was not washed at that time, so now they did not recognize each other face to face. Su Man continued, you were also in Jingshan at that time, but maybe because you did not enter the abandoned city of Jingshan, I did not see you. I was responsible for arresting Su Xianchu that night. As soon as this sentence came out, Ren Xiaosu understood. At this time, Su Man said, but I still feel that you look familiar. Have we met somewhere before? Ha ha ha, not familiar, not familiar. Ren Xiaosu laughed. I recognized the wrong person just now. This person must not be familiar, otherwise Qing Zhen, Luolan, and Su Xianchu might all know the truth of that night. Su Man asked in confusion, you look really familiar. No, you. Ren Xiaosu was sweating so much that he changed the subject and said, why are you here? It turns out that the people who sent the weapons to the river valley are from your Qing family. Oh, this has already started. I only came here last year, Su Man said. At that time, Commander Qing Zhen was under house arrest, and everyone was dispersed and incorporated into other combat sequences. I received instructions from Commander Qing Zhen and secretly went to the river valley to take over the affairs here. Ren Xiaosu suddenly realized that the original plan here was all Qing Zhen's own will, not the arrangement of the Qing family consortium. But a few years ago, Qing Zhen was probably still controlled by the Qing family's presidium. At that time, the other party began to plan the affairs of the river valley. This is too far-fetched. It's really unlucky for the Yang family, the Li family, and the Zhuang family to have such an opponent. Originally, the Zhuang family wanted to divide the 178 barriers while Zhang Jinglan was away, but Qing Zhen sent Zhang Jinglan back. I don't know if the people of the Zhuang family knew about this and vomited blood. Su Man suddenly said, Boss Luo has specifically told me that if he sees you, he will tell you that we are ready to act. Of course, even if you don't have time to go back, he will help you get your brother and others out. Is Qing Zhen ready to rescue Luolan? Ren Xiaosu asked doubtfully, aren't you afraid that if you tell me about this, I will betray you? Boss Luo said that you can trust him, Su Man said with a smile, we are subordinates and we will do as he is told. Ren Xiaosu smacked his lips. The feeling of being trusted was not bad. He asked Su Man, what about you guys? What plans do you have? Attack the Zhuang family. Since Qing Zhen had prepared a backup plan in the north in advance, it must be useful at this time, right? Su Man explained, we have won over some bandits in the north, but we can't defeat the Zhuang family. Commander Qing Zhen didn't set up this place to make us fight the Zhuang family to our death. Ren Xiaosu became curious, then what are you doing here? Su Man hesitated and said, the biggest flood peak in the upper reaches of this river will arrive in about 10 days. We will destroy all the bridges and buildings in this river valley area at that time to prevent the Zhuang family from going south to help the Yang family. Another group of people will go south to destroy all the factories outside the Yang family's barriers. Ren Xiaosu is stunned. He always felt that Qing Zhen's plan was like a chain of links. It seemed that Qing Zhen had planned to incorporate the entire northwest and southwest into the territory of the Qing family a few years ago. If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelist. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 365 I'm waiting for you here. At this moment, Ren Xiaosu felt that Qing Zhen was like a star in the northwest and southwest area, which made the people of other consortiums look dull. It was not that the consortium was not smart enough, but that Qing Zhen's plan was too long-term. In Qing Zhen's plan, there was luck in calculation. From the beginning, Qing Zhen and Luolan had obviously obtained Li's nanotechnology breakthrough, but they handed it over to Yang Xiaojin's back. At that moment, Qing Zhen asked Yang Xiaojin, After Yang's acquisition of this technology originally used for medical treatment, will it be used in the military field? In fact, Qing Zhen already knew the answer at that time. How could Yang not use nanorobots in the military field? It was a greedy consortium, and the appetite of the consortium would never be satisfied. The collapse of the 109 barrier had a great impact on the Li family, so that several interest groups within the Li family were fighting each other and shirking responsibility. At that time, the top management of the Li family also needed an object to vent their anger to prove that they were not weak. If they let this matter go, I am afraid that the whole consortium would have a greater source of trouble. So they had to retaliate. The decision to launch a war against the Yang family was not that the Li family was angry, but that they had to do so after considering political interests. The Li family wanted to kill Li Shenton, but Li Shenton disappeared. The Li family wanted to extinguish the experimental body, but at this time the Yang family had already deployed troops on the border, and they could not take care of it. So, the Li family directed all their anger at the Yang family. In fact, the Qing family originally joined the battlefield later. At the beginning, it was a war between the Yang family and the Li family, and it had nothing to do with the Qing family. Qing Zhen calculated that the Presidium would let him go to the front line, so he waited patiently in his villa. When he came back, Qing Zhen directly killed Qing Yun and chose to cooperate with the Yang family. It seemed that he was allied with the Yang family, but he dragged all the main forces of the Yang family to the battlefield on the southern front line. This is probably one of the most critical links in Qing Zhen's plan. Afterwards, Qing Zhen deliberately tricked the Yang family and suddenly withdrew the troops. This incident led to Luolan being placed under house arrest, and the Yang family needed more troops to fill the gap on the front line. But at this time, the mysterious force that was ready to rescue Luolan, as well as the bandits who had been integrated in the north, could make the defense-laden Yang family feel sick and unable to sleep. Qing Zhen didn't seem to plan to swallow up the Yang family so quickly. He was too patient. He just wanted to make the mature industrial chain of the Yang family collapse. This collapsed rear industrial chain seemed to be just an economic setback, but in the war, it would mean that the front-line soldiers might not even have enough bullets. Maybe nothing can be seen in the short term, and the Yang family's reserves can still hold up for a while. But over time, Qing might be able to beat the Yang family to the ground. At this time, if the Zhuang family wanted to go south, they would be blocked by the upcoming spring and summer floods. The Zhuang family could build a temporary floating bridge, but the flood in the river valley in summer could not be solved by building dozens of floating bridges. There were thousands of riverbeds, and the earth was like broken porcelain pieces in the middle of the river. Therefore, Qing Zhen even calculated the time, 10 days later. But Ren Xiaosu couldn't figure out who had the power to break through a barrier and rescue Luolan. The main force of the Qing family was also on the southern front. Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked, but there are also people from the Zhuang family among the bandits in the north. What if they try to stop you? Su Man smiled and said, they thought that my Qing family was going to compete with them for the territory in the river valley. They were too short-sighted. We never took them seriously. Maybe we have been going south for several days before they will find that we are gone. So the Zhuang family always thought that the Qing family was going to compete for the river valley, but in fact, the Qing family's target was not them at all. Ren Xiaosu took a deep breath and said, I am also going to prepare to go south to cooperate with your people to rescue Luolan. The people who rescued Luolan were not ours, Su Man said, so you don't have to treat them as your companions. However, Su Man did not reveal more detailed information to Ren Xiaosu, and he could only say this much. After saying that, Su Man was about to leave, and Jinlan beside him suddenly said, since you are here, aren't you going to give me something before you leave? Su Man was stunned for a moment. He had even forgotten about sending guns and supplies. What do you need? Ren Xiaosu didn't have time to slowly choose. Leave them all. Jin Lan and others were shocked. The eldest brother was different from others in his words. How could they give you things when you asked for so much? The corner of Su Man's mouth twitched. Why don't you keep the truck we used to deliver the supplies? Ren Xiaosu pondered for a moment. It's not impossible. You don't have many people. There will be 4 more trucks left after moving the supplies down. Keep those 4 trucks for me. Su Jinun whispered beside him, Big brother is different. We all wait for the consortium to give us supplies and take whatever they give us. We use the supplies given by others to rob, but our big brother directly robs the consortium. Su Man frowned and thought for 2 seconds and sighed, okay, You really are not polite at all. Jin Lan and the others took a breath of cold air. Who exactly is their big brother? It would have been fine if the people from Queens were so polite before, but now they give us whatever we want, even the trucks to transport the supplies. Ren Xiaosu waited for Jin Lan. What are you still standing there for? Go and receive the supplies. He turned to Su Man and said, I'm not going to keep you for dinner either. I have to hurry and prepare. After saying that, Ren Xiaosu turned and left, leaving Su Man standing there with his eyelids twitching. You sent so many things and didn't even give us a bite of food, and you chased us away? We didn't even say we wanted to stay here for dinner. Who are you guarding against? Ren Xiaosu found Yang Xiaojin. I'm afraid the Qing family is going to attack the 88 barrier. Do you have any ideas? This is actually what Ren Xiaosu is most worried about. Yang Xiaojin is also a member of the Yang group. Can she stay out of the attack on the Yang group's barrier? After a long silence, Yang Xiaojin said, I'll stay here. The gap between Yang Xiaojin and the Yang group seems to be more than just a simple indifference of family affection. She has never mentioned her parents. According to Yang Xiaojin's age, her parents should be in their prime, so why are they both gone? If Yang Xiaojin doesn't say it, Ren Xiaosu won't ask, but he understands that there must be something hidden. It's just that Yang Xiaojin can ignore the Yang group, but she doesn't want to shoot at the Yang group, so she decided to stay in this settlement. After all, if Ren Xiaosu went back this time and wanted to cooperate with Luo Lan to bring Yan Luoyun and others out, he would inevitably conflict with the Yang family. Ren Xiaosu thought for a moment and said, I will go and come back quickly. I'll wait for you here. Chapter 366 The End of the Li Family. Southwest, Li Shenton was walking alone on a vast forest path. The road was only 1 car wide and the ground was muddy after the rain. He carried a fishing rod on his shoulder and a fish basket on his waist. In the fish basket made of bamboo strips, there were 2 huge river shrimps tumbling, and 3 crabs were tied up by their claws and legs with hemp ropes. Each crab looked like it must be 2 or 3 pounds. If it was before the disaster, it would be a standard crab king. Xiaoliren, did you see what the black shadow in the river was just now? Li Shenton said to himself. Liren's sweet voice came from the sky. I didn't see it clearly. Li Shenton curled his lips. It's quite scary. It's okay, it can't beat me, Liren comforted. I was worried that I would be eaten by it before you could save me, Li Shenton said with a smile, but I was lucky today. Although I didn't catch any fish, I caught a lot of shrimps and crabs. At this moment, the sound of a vehicle driving in front of the path was getting closer and closer, and Li Shenton stood there calmly. When the vehicle was in danger, the driver who was holding the steering wheel in the car was shocked when he saw Li Shenton. Get out of the way. Get out of the way. The driver honked the horn frantically, but Li Shenton stood there like a stone, motionless. The driver stepped on the brakes, but the mud on the ground made it impossible for the vehicle to stop. The middle-aged man gritted his teeth in the car and wanted to kill Li Shenton. He couldn't turn the steering wheel at this time, because turning the steering wheel at this time would cause the car to overturn. But when the off-road vehicle came in front of Li Shenton, the little girl in the sky fell from the sky, and saw a small fist hit the hood hard. This punch actually caused the entire rear end of the off-road vehicle to lift up, and then the entire vehicle rolled up from in front of Li Shenton, and then fell into the mud behind Li Shenton. Li Shenton, the beautiful girl is here to save you, Liren said happily. Li Shenton smiled, but he did not respond. Instead, he turned his head to look at the off-road vehicle with 4 wheels facing up behind him. How miserable. The driver was stuck in the seat, and his whole body was in a state of suspension. He cursed in the car, are you blind? You. Before he finished speaking, Liren floated over and straightened the car, and then easily lifted the old man out from the back seat. The old man looked terrified. Li Shenton smiled and said, hello, nice to meet you, my name is Li Shenton. As soon as the 3 words Li Shenton came out, the old man's face became even more terrified. How did you know I would go here? What are you going to do? Li Shenton smiled and said, it seems that you know nothing about my power, but don't think about these unimportant things. What I'm curious about is, didn't the Qing family just surround the barrier? How did you get out of their encirclement? The old man's expression gradually sank. What on earth do you want to do? Li Shenton said to himself, oh, I understand, you made a deal with the devil Qing Zhen, so you can abandon the entire Li family and escape alone. Where does this road lead to? There is a mountain road ahead, which can go all the way to Central Plains, so you have to escape to Central Plains. At this time Ren said, Brother Shenton, there are so many gold bars in the car. Yet, Li Shenton nodded, before leaving, you also took away all the gold in Li's bank. It's enough for you to go to Central Plains and become a rich man. The middle-aged man hid in the car and dared not speak. The old man shouted, Li Yaobei, take the gun and kill him. But no matter how the old man shouted, the middle-aged man did not dare to move. Li Shenton laughed and said, you still wanted to take your son with you after escaping, but your son is not promising. The Li family has really fallen into depravity in your generation. In Li Shenton's opinion, the name of the Li Consortium is a bit unworthy of its name. It is just a small warlord in a remote corner of the southwest. He said to the old man, Master Li, let me guess what kind of deal you made with that devil Qing Zhen. The old man's sparse long hair, which originally covered his head, was scattered in front of his forehead because he was held by Ren. His face turned red. You actually said that others are devils. You are the real devil. I didn't say that he is the only devil in the world, Li Shenton said with a smile. Of course I am one of them. Let's get back to the topic. More than a month ago, Qing's troops suddenly withdrew from the front battlefield, and then the most mysterious Nano army of Li disappeared. The top leaders of Li thought you were going to fight a desperate battle, but they would never have thought that this mysterious Nano army is just your bargaining chip. So what is Qing Zhen's condition? Let you leave with the gold? You just sold out Li like this. The old man stopped talking. He was old, and he felt dizzy after just struggling for a while in Ren's hands. Li Shenton continued, that mysterious army disguised themselves as wounded soldiers of the Qing family who retreated to the rear, and went all the way north from the occupied area controlled by the Qing family. No one stopped them, and they were even provided with supplies and ammunition. As for their destination, even I don't know. Can you tell me where they went? This matter has nothing to do with you. The old man roared. I am also a member of the Li family, Li Shenton sighed. I originally wanted to destroy the Li family with my own hands. After all, the thought of the Li family disappearing like this makes me feel uncomfortable. I am ashamed of this identity. You lunatic. It's not fun anymore, Li Shenton sighed again. The Li family is about to be destroyed, and you should also disappear with the Li family. Ren said, I killed them. No, I will do it myself. You are still young and can't kill people. As he said that, Li Shenton raised his hand and took a small stone from the ground out of thin air. The small stone flicked at his fingertips and flew out, leaving a bloody hole on the old man's forehead. The pebble stopped behind the old man's head, and the next moment it suddenly changed direction and passed through the back of the driver's head. Li Shenton said to himself, is it over? Ren threw the old man on the muddy ground like a rag bag, and she asked curiously, what are we going to do next? I don't know, Li Shenton said with a smile, let's go and see the Central Plains. It is said that it is very prosperous there, but we have to wait a little longer. Grandpa hasn't come yet. Oh, Ren nodded, when will Grandpa arrive? Tomorrow, Li Shenton said as if he suddenly remembered something, take the gold in the car with you. Ren Xiaosu will definitely like it. You can give it to him when you meet next time. Aren't we going to the north to find him? Ren asked curiously. Li Shenton said calmly, he probably doesn't want to see me now. Let's go to Zhangyin and wait for him. Okay, Ren agreed obediently. As she spoke, she flew into the woods and carried a huge metal box on her back. The box was several times bigger than her, so that her small body flying in the sky with a box on her back looked like a small bee. She stuffed the heavy gold into the box, but she didn't see how hard it was for her to carry the box. Li Shenton stood on this quiet path and looked to the end. He watched the sunlight shining through the woods. The spots of light were like cold rain. At this moment, he was a little confused. It was like a child who had just finished a test with a perfect score. He should have happily found his parents to ask for rewards and praise, but he couldn't find the person who could share his happiness and success. Mom, I have avenged you. Chapter 367 The beginning of Qing Zhen's territory. 88 In the night outside the barrier, a team of transport vehicles was driving on the northern highway. After they arrived at the barrier, the private troops guarding the gate simply searched and let them pass. This was Yang's material transport vehicle, and the private troops dared not interfere. However, not long after the convoy entered the barrier, a young man rolled out from under the chassis of the transport vehicle. He stood up and patted the dust off his body, looking around carefully. It was late at night and there were not many people around. Ren Xiaosu walked in the shadow of the street, walking quickly towards the street where Yan Liwen and the others were. This method of sneaking into the barrier was taught to him by Su Xianshu, and it was unexpectedly useful. They were almost there, and Ren Xiaosu did not encounter any patrol officers during the period. However, just when he thought everything was going well, he suddenly saw a familiar woman coming towards him in front of him. The other party seemed to be surprised to see Ren Xiaosu here. Ren Xiaosu, didn't you go to the north to suppress bandits? Zhou Yingsu asked in surprise. However, just as she finished her words, she saw Ren Xiaosu suddenly sprinting in the shadows, and without saying a word, he slashed at her neck with his palm. Zhou Yingsu's reaction speed was extremely fast. She raised her wrist to block the knife, but she unexpectedly found that the two sides were not at the same level at all. Ren Xiaosu frowned at Zhou Yingsu, who had fainted on the ground. It should be a pure accident to meet Zhou Yingsu here, but Zhou Yingsu's reaction speed just now was not something that ordinary people could have. She was an extraordinary person. He thought about it, and he just carried Zhou Yingsu from the ground and ran towards the direction where Yan Liwen and the others were. Ren Xiaosu didn't know when King Zhen's people would take action, so if he left Zhou Yingsu here, he was afraid that the other party would make some trouble after waking up. But if it was about killing to silence her, Ren Xiaosu didn't think it would be necessary. Ren Xiaosu carried Zhou Yingsu to the outside of the yard, and went in without even knocking on the door. Then he saw Yan Liwen pointing a pistol at him. "Brother," Yan Liwen asked in surprise, "why did you come back so suddenly? And you brought someone back?" Liwen was originally on guard, but he got an unexpected surprise. Ren Xiaosu threw Zhou Yingsu to the ground and said with a smile, "Right, Li Qingzhang and the others to get up, tie up Zhou Yingsu and gag her." "Okay," Yan Liwen said. Ren Xiaosu asked, "Is there anything wrong at home recently?" Yan Liwen paused and said with a smile, "Nothing, everything is fine." At this time, Luo Lan's head rose from the wall next door. "You are finally back. If you don't come back, it will be too late." Ren Xiaosu asked curiously, "Su Man told me it would be 10 days later, and it has only been 3 days. Luo Lan replied, "But this matter is a little uncontrollable. We are not sure when the other party will take action. It could happen at any time." As soon as the voice fell, Ren Xiaosu heard an explosion suddenly sounded in the barrier in the silent night. Ren Xiaosu was stunned. "Uncontrollable? Who is going to destroy the 88th barrier? Aren't they your people?" "It's Li's people. There's no time to explain. Pack up quickly. My people will be here soon," Luo Lan shouted hurriedly in a low voice, "while the Yang family is dealing with them. Let's go." "How many people are coming from the Li family?" Ren Xiaosu asked curiously. "1 regiment, 1,500 people," Luo Lan said. "This is the last of the Li family." As he spoke, flames had already risen to the sky in the south of the barrier. The sound of gunfire tore apart the quiet night, and explosions rumbled. Ren Xiaosu asked in confusion, 1,500 people can break through one of the Yang family's barriers. Luo Lan glanced at him. "These are 1,500 nano-warriors." At the same time as the chaos at the 88th barrier, the last barrier of the Li family on the front line of the southern battlefield was also destroyed. Yang Yuning, the frontline general of the Yang family, told his confidant beside him, "Quickly occupy the Li family's barrier. After entering, you must occupy the advantageous terrain as soon as possible and ambush the Qing family's army that enters the barrier together. Don't show mercy." But before the Yang family rushed into the barrier, Yang Yuning suddenly heard a harsh sound coming from the sky. It was the sound of artillery fire penetrating the air, and this artillery fire came from the Qing family's position. He almost subconsciously roared, "Qing Zhen villain!" When the Li family was destroyed, the Yang family and the Qing family no longer had a basis for cooperation. The Yang family had planned to attack the Qing family early, but what Yang Yuning didn't expect was that the Qing family didn't even care about the Li family's barrier and launched a sneak attack directly. The Yang family was still not cruel enough. "Lie down!" Yang Yuning roared, "Order the nano-warriors to force a breakthrough and behead Qing Yi." But as soon as the voice fell, a soldier beside him suddenly pointed his gun at him and fired wildly. Although he didn't even finish a round of bullets, the soldier had already fallen in a pool of blood. But Yang Yuning, the general of the Yang family, had been shot and killed. No one knew how long Qingzhen had been preparing for this year. In those countless days and nights, the countless moves Qingzhen had made had caused fatal damage to the other side in just a few months. The reinforced company responsible for guarding the generals surrounded them. Some people in the chaotic army shouted that they were attacked, but at this time, the artillery fire in the sky had already arrived. Qing had made a fatal move from the beginning. The Yang family's troops were full of smoke and oil from the explosion. The artillery troops that Qing had hidden for a long time fired out as if they were free, as if they wanted to plow the entire battlefield. Yang had already prepared the Nano troops to attack Qing Yi's command post, and they launched it in an instant. However, when they were about to rush to the front of Yang's position from the rear, they found that someone on Qing's position suddenly pulled open the tarpaulin on the armored vehicle. On the black armored vehicle, there were dense matrix-like gun barrels, metal storm, mounted tilt. Thousands of Nano warriors were torn to pieces in an instant. Before they died, the Nano warriors didn't understand that the metal storms in the intelligence should not appear here at all. The intelligence was wrong. Qing Yi stood behind the armored vehicle and sneered, "Third brother is right, they are all fancy things." The third brother mentioned by Qing Yi is Qingzhen. Among their group of cousins, Qingzhen is the third oldest. In Qingzhen's words, the nano-robots that have always been praised as battlefield magic weapons are nothing more than fancy things in the face of modern artillery fire. When destroying the Shenji camp earlier, Qingzhen said that using the nano-warriors together is absolutely a stupid tactic. The nano-warriors should do infiltration, decapitation, intelligence, and destruction behind enemy lines. The front battlefield is not the place for them. Unless the enemy is not prepared at all. For example, at the 88th barrier, no one has ever thought that a whole set of nano-warriors would break through the Qing's defense line. Yang tried his best to grasp the movements of all the Qing's combat sequences, but ignored Li's dying struggle. Chapter 368, Towards the Wilderness of Hope. Ren Xiaosu didn't know what was happening on the southern front. He just looked at the fire in the 88th barrier and knew that the barrier was probably finished. The permanent garrison of the 88th barrier now only had the strength of an independent infantry regiment. If it was a normal garrison, even an infantry brigade would not be able to take it down, unless it was an armored brigade or a rocket unit. But the whereabouts of all the regular combat sequences of the Qing family were under the control of the Yang family's intelligence. They would never let the Qing family's heavy firepower combat troops get so close to the 88th barrier. However, since going north, the Nano warriors have always relied on their high mobility to travel through the mountains and fields, and have never shown up on the main road. Those normal troops could not cross the dangerous terrain at all, but they walked on flat ground. This is why Qingzhen chose this Nano force to infiltrate the Yang family. Even the elite under Qingzhen could not break through the Yang family blockade quietly. But the Nano warriors can. At this time, the fire was spreading all the way to the north. Ren Xiaosu found that the trend of the fire was a pure straight line, like a precise scalpel, piercing the vitals of the Yang family. After destroying the gate and breaking through the barrier, this group of Nano warriors did not entangle with the defenders at all, but continued to move northward, intending to directly destroy the Yang family manor and kill all the Yang family leaders inside. Although the Yang family's top leaders are distributed in more than a dozen barriers, 60% of them are in the Yang family manor in the 88th barrier. If this place is destroyed, the Yang family will probably fall into a state of being leaderless. If the front line collapses and the rear is leaderless, then the Qing family will probably drive straight in and devour the already broken Yang family bit by bit. Ren Xiaosu turned around when he heard the sound and saw Zhou Yingsu slowly waking up. Zhou Yingsu stared at the firelight and the roar of the hot weapons in her ears. She suddenly became anxious. "Let me go, my mother is still at home." Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. He hesitated for a second and walked to Zhou Yingsu and said, "You and I have no grudges. It was because of our positions before. I don't blame you for monitoring me, but if I untie you, don't make any trouble, understand?" Zhou Yingsu looked at Ren Xiaosu calmly. "Okay." After saying that, Ren Xiaosu cut a hemp rope on Zhou Yingsu's body, and Zhou Yingsu jumped out of the courtyard wall without stopping and disappeared. At this time, Ren Xiaosu was not afraid that Yang would come to obstruct them. After all, Yang should be too busy to take care of herself now. Suddenly, there was a harsh sound of tires rubbing against the ground in front of Ren Xiaosu's door. Luo Lan yelled, "Ren Xiaosu, hurry up and follow me. We must leave this troubled place quickly. Those Li's nano warriors are so angry that they don't care whether we are from the Yang family or not. Ren Xiaosu pushed open the gate and saw many people in the fortress walking on the street to watch the flames in the sky. Some people hid in the facade of the building as if they were safe at home. There were 2 transport trucks parked at the door, and around the trucks were Qing soldiers on guard. These soldiers had already lurked in the 88th fortress, but Luolan knew very well that these soldiers could not save him at all, so he could only be responsible for the support. Ren Xiaosu helped Wang Fuge, Xiaoyuji and others get on the car. In just 2 minutes, everyone entered the truck bed in an orderly manner. Luolan yelled, "Drive, drive, drive. I don't want to be buried with these 88 ramparts." Ren Xiaosu looked back at the fire. There were 1,500 nano warriors over there. Even if he picked up some nano robots, it would be enough to arm everyone present. But he couldn't take risks. He knew the importance of it. If he turned back now, it might cost everyone's life. Ren Xiaosu would rather not have those nano robots. 2 trucks were speeding on the street towards the east gate. The escape gradually frightened the residents of the ramparts who saw the 2 trucks. Everyone followed the direction of the trucks to escape. Ren Xiaosu, Luolan shouted in the bumpy car bed, "Come with me to Qing's." Ren Xiaosu glanced at Yan Luolan, then shook his head. "No." Luolan said puzzledly, "Follow me to Qing's. You'll have delicious food and drinks, money to spend, and luxury cars to ride. When the time comes, you can drive a luxury car with beautiful women for a ride. Wouldn't it be very happy?" Ren Xiaosu smiled. "I've thought about this before, but now I have a better place to go. I still think the wilderness is more suitable for me." Yan Luolan's eyes lit up. "Brother, where are we going?" "A new home," Ren Xiaosu smiled. "A place with hope." Yan Luolan paused for a long while, and he suddenly said, "Brother, thank you." "Why thank me?" Ren Xiaosu said. "I really think it's a good place." Luolan said regretfully, "Su Man mentioned this in the message he gave me, so I can only wish you the best. In the future, you can come to our Qing's to play, and you can mention my name, Luolan, wherever you go." "Well," Ren Xiaosu nodded, "I will go. I won't settle down in Qingxi, but I can go there to have fun. But that will definitely be a long time in the future. The current Qingxi will probably be mired in war for a long time. The current Qingxi is no longer a pure consortium, but a war machine. However, the bridges in the north should be broken at this time." "How can you go to the north?" Luolan asked curiously. "Now there is a big river blocking the north and the south. You can't go there." "It's okay, I have a way," Ren Xiaosu responded calmly. Now all the bandit organizations in the north controlled by Qingxi have gone south, not only destroying the bridges, but also destroying all the factories of Yangshi standing in the wilderness. If it were before, he would definitely not be able to cross the river, but now he can, thanks to Wang Kongyang for sending the steam train. Ren Xiaosu has tried it a long time ago. The steam train can walk on any terrain as if it were flat ground. The rails from nothingness can completely cross the river. 2 trucks arrived in front of the east gate. There were only a few defenders here. When they were about to come over to check the vehicles, the soldiers of the Qing family got off the car and broke through in an orderly manner. How could those private troops responsible for guarding the gate be a match for the regular army of the Qing family? When the Qing soldiers blew up the gate, the trucks broke through the haze at the gate and drove into the wilderness. This time, escaping from the barrier was easier than any other time. Ren Xiaosu even felt that when he rushed out of the barrier with Yan Luolan and others, his mood became cheerful. Everything was developing in a good direction. Ren Xiaosu began to look forward to their future in the wilderness. However, when he looked back and saw the smoke all over the sky above the 88th barrier, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt that this did not seem to be something to be happy about. This era is intensifying the collapse. Can they really survive in the wilderness? Chapter 369 Meeting Gift. The people who were supposed to pick up Luolan were not only inside the barrier, but Su Man had also led a team to the outside of Barrier 88 at some point, probably because he was afraid that something might happen when picking up Luolan. It seemed that Luolan and Qingzhen had a very close relationship, and Qingzhen was even willing to go to great lengths to destroy a barrier for Luolan. When Ren Xiaosu first met Luolan said that Qingzhen would definitely rescue him, and Qingzhen had already made all the preparations for the rescue when he ordered the temporary withdrawal of troops to the Yang family pit. Even if Qingzhen really couldn't turn the tables in that turmoil, the rescue would still be carried out as scheduled with the help of Qing Yi, and the Nano warriors would definitely arrive at Barrier 88 within the exact time frame. On the day Qingzhen went up Ginkgo Mountain, before the snowstorm came, he had already prepared everything for Luolan. When they parted, Luolan no longer persuaded Ren Xiaosu to go back to Qing with him. He said to Ren Xiaosu, "When you have established a firm foothold in the River Valley area, you can contact me. I will ask Suman to send you some supplies as a congratulations on your move to a new house." Okay, Ren Xiaosu did not hesitate to say goodbye. All good things must come to an end. Ren Xiaosu and his friends will run towards the hope and light in their hearts. On the way back, Yan Liwen asked, "Brother, what is it like in the River Valley area?" Ren Xiaosu smiled and said, "It's very poor there. The houses are all made of mud. The farmland has been destroyed. A group of poor bandits are so poor that they only have guns left, and there is no one to rob." Yan Liwen listened carefully, but did not speak. Ren Xiaosu asked, "Are you willing to go like this?" "Of course I am," Yan Liwen said with bright eyes. "Is Sister Xiaojin here too?" "She." "Yes, she is here too," Ren Xiaosu nodded and said, "Usually, we will go with the bandits to dig mud, press bricks, and build houses. We will also teach those bandits lessons." Yan Liwen suddenly asked, "Then can I build a house with you?" "Of course," Ren Xiaosu said. For Yan Liwen, he is not afraid of a hard life. If there is hope in life, he can be happy even if he is moving bricks and building a house. Ren Xiaosu glanced at Wang Yuqi, Jiang Wu and others behind him. Teacher Jiang Wu has been silent since the female students left, and no one knows what he thinks every day. Ren Xiaosu said to Yan Liwen, "Come on, I'll take you for a ride." "How do we take a ride?" Yan Liwen asked curiously. "We don't have a car. I thought we were going to the river valley." Barrier 88 is more than 400 kilometers away from the river valley, and there are 2 barriers in between. Even Ren Xiaosu would need 3 days to get back. However, Ren Xiaosu suddenly summoned a steam train. He didn't seem to intend to hide this ability. Wang Fuge was stunned when he saw the steam train. "Xiaosu, this is a train." "Yes," Ren Xiaosu said with a smile, "I'll take you for a ride on the train." The group of people behind him all laughed. Others drove luxury cars to take beautiful women for a ride, but when it came to Ren Xiaosu, it became driving a train to take a group of men, women, old and young for a ride. Why is it that when it comes to Ren Xiaosu, the style of the words is a little different? "Get on the train," Ren Xiaosu shouted happily. Life has hope, and it seems that everything he does is particularly energetic. A group of people sat in the carriage of the steam train, watching the tracks in front of them turn from illusion to reality, while the tracks behind them disappeared one by one. This moment was like a dream. "Xiaosu, is this train your ability?" Sister Xiao asked. Ren Xiaosu had never exposed his ability before, and this was the first time in his memory. "What can I do with this ability?" Ren Xiaosu thought carefully. "I can do some transportation. If the 178 barrier opens a trade route in the future, I can go to transport goods. I don't know how much money I can make by transporting a full truck of goods." In fact, it doesn't matter whether there is money or not, he just wants to put his knowledge into practice. I don't know what Wang Kongyang would think when he heard this. He never thought of using his ability to transport. The main reason is that the mental power of a transcendent is limited. Even Wang Kongyang can only drive the train for half a day without a load, and he can't run at full speed. Ren Xiaosu was different. From the moment the steam train was replicated, it had 12 more carriages than Wang Kongyang's, and he didn't feel the exhaustion of his mental power at all. In fact, Ren Xiaosu didn't realize that his most valuable advantage was not the ability to replicate other people's abilities, but his mental power was like a puzzle from beginning to end, crushing other extraordinary people. It was extremely fast to use the steam train to travel freely. Now there was no consortium in the northwest to contain the extraordinary people. The consortium itself was a little overwhelmed. Ren Xiaosu and the most powerful Qing family and 178 barriers should be barely considered friends, right? The steam train crossed the rivers and lakes all the way, and the natural barriers became smooth roads, as if all the troubles were left behind. Ren Xiaosu said, "Don't mention my ability when we get to the settlement. We can't trust those bandits yet." Wang Fugia and the others nodded. They knew the importance of this. When they were about to arrive, Ren Xiaosu took back the steam train and led everyone on foot. When they arrived at the settlement, it was still a ruin. At this time, Yang Xiaojun was rolling up her sleeves to help the refugees move the corn cobs and sweet potatoes stored on the truck left by Su Man. Her face was dirty, and she didn't look like a daughter of a consortium at all. She seemed to be a refugee. Yang Xiaojun turned around and saw Ren Xiaosu and the others coming. She waved to Ren Xiaosu happily. Yan Liwen was not depressed at all when he saw the ruins. He waved at Yang Xiaojun and shouted, "Sister-in-law." This was the first time Yan Liwen called Yang Xiaojun sister-in-law. He was stunned by the way he called her directly. Suddenly, Yan Liwen felt someone kicked him on the buttocks. He turned around and saw Ren Xiaosu's face flushed. "What are you yelling about?" On the contrary, Yang Xiaojun had a calm expression on her face. The main reason was that all the bandits had been calling her sister-in-law in the past few days. She had long been numb and had accepted this title in her heart. But Sister Xiao came to Yang Xiaojun. She took out a handkerchief to help Yang Xiaojun wipe her face and said with a smile, "What a nice girl, flowers stuck in cow dung." Ren Xiaosu was unhappy. "How can you talk like that? Who said cow dung?" As a result, Sister Xiao ignored him at all, but took out a gold bracelet for Yang Xiaojun to wear. "I don't have much money, and this bracelet is not heavy enough, but don't dislike it. I will save money and buy you a heavier one in the future." Yang Xiaojun did not refuse at all, but said with a smile, "I don't dislike it. I like it very much." Chapter 370, Prepare for Battle. Sister Xiao really liked Yang Xiaojun more and more. She was educated, beautiful, and not spoiled. Where could she find such a sister-in-law? As soon as the fete was about to start, Sister Xiao began to think about saving up the dowry for Ren Xiaosu, and even wanted to ask Ren Xiaosu what name to give the child. "I don't know how many children Ren Xiaosu and his family can have. If there are 2, it's better, she can take care of them, but if there are more, it will be too much." When everyone was busy, Sister Xiao secretly asked Ren Xiaosu, "Have you used the tent that I prepared for you?" Sister Xiao thought about this as soon as she arrived here. Seeing that there was no place to live here, the tent would definitely come in handy. As a result, Sister Xiao was waiting for an answer with joy, but Ren Xiaosu stammered, "She sleeps in the tent, and I sleep outside the tent." Sister Xiao pinched Ren Xiaosu hard. "Why are you so disappointing? It was all in vain. It was all in vain." Ren Xiaosu quickly hid among the refugees and gathered everyone. "I think everyone has already known that the Northern Zhuang family should know that we are here. Now that the South is in turmoil, if we still stay here, we may be in danger." At this time, Jin Lan took the lead and shouted, "Brother, wherever you go, we will go there." Ren Xiaosu hesitated for half a minute and suddenly said, "Actually, I am not from the 178th barrier." He always felt that a beautiful hope cannot be mixed with deception. If it is really a beautiful vision, there should be no impurities in it, so he must be honest. The bandits gradually quieted down, and Ren Xiaosu continued, "I know Su Xianshu, and I also know Zhang Jinglan. We even have a good relationship, but I am indeed not from the 178th barrier. If anyone wants to leave, I can write you a letter of recommendation. As for whether you can join the 178th barrier, I am not sure." Ren Xiaosu waited for the bandits to make a decision. He did not expect to be able to keep many bandits and refugees, and what he said was all sincere. He did not want to deceive this group of bandits. Sure enough, after Ren Xiaosu said this, most of the bandits looked at each other in bewilderment. Regardless of whether Ren Xiaosu's previous method of fooling them was effective or not, although everyone enjoyed the process of saving bullets, in the final analysis, they stayed here because of the 178th barrier. So when the truth was revealed, everyone would instinctively hesitate. Someone stood up, "Brother, to be honest, I really stayed here because I wanted to go to the 178th barrier, so." Ren Xiaosu nodded. He asked Yan Liwen to bring paper and pen, and wrote a letter to Su Xianshu and Zhang Jinglan on the spot, but he did not guarantee that the 178th barrier would help him. Someone took the lead, and another bandit stood up to ask for a letter of recommendation. In comparison, although they were happy here, the future seemed to be more important. That was the 178th barrier. In just half an hour, the original more than 300 bandits were reduced to more than 200. Ren Xiaosu was not ashamed or angry, but unusually calm. A forced melon will not be sweet, and he was no longer willing to use lies to keep these people. Ren Xiaosu looked at Jinlan. Why don't you leave? Jinlan suddenly smiled and said, I guessed it a long time ago. Ren Xiaosu was stunned for a moment. You guess it? Brother, I'm not stupid. Jinlan smiled. If the 178 barrier wants to unify the river valley area, they don't have to be so cautious and only send 2 people. They just need to raise their arms and call for help, and probably 99% of the bandits in the entire river valley area will accept the amnesty. Then you. Ren Xiaosu said in a daze. He wanted to ask, why don't Jinlan and the others leave? Jinlan smiled and said, but I am that 1%. The moment you and your sister-in-law jumped into the mud pit and dug the mud with us, I decided to follow you to explore the river valley area. It doesn't matter if we are not on the river valley area, we can go anywhere. After Jinlan spoke, Zhang Yihan immediately said, there is nothing good about the 178th barrier. It is very cold in winter. It is so cold that everyone's seniority has been reduced. We have all become grandsons. It's better not to go. Su Jinhan said, bandits don't have a good end. We have seen all kinds of bandit leaders. This is the first time I have seen someone like you, brother. It doesn't matter whether we go to the 178th barrier or not. We will follow you wherever you say to go. Ren Xiaosu is speechless, while Yan Luan, Yang Xiaojun and others watch quietly by the side. Maybe this is why Ren Xiaosu likes this place. They have been wandering on the vast wasteland for a year. It seems that they have been to one barrier after another, but they have never found their true home. Now, Ren Xiaosu seems to have found it. Yan Luan whispered, sister-in-law, I like it here. Yang Xiaojun smiled and touched his head, I like it too. Ren Xiaosu took a deep breath and said, then let's head to the northwest. I have read the records in the library. There is a Kushui mountain in the northwest. It is said that there is a valley in the mountain where it is like spring all year round. A clear river flows through the valley, and the river will not freeze even in winter. A group of bandits looked at each other and laughed. Then let's go to Kushui mountain. Everyone has heard of it. Some people have thought about going there before, but it seems that there is a wild boar king there with a group of wild boars. He is very fierce, so no one has ever been there. Ren Xiaosu shouted, then everyone get on your motorcycles, take your luggage, and go. Can we ride a motorcycle now? Su Jinhan's eyes lit up. Otherwise, what should we do with these hundreds of motorcycles? Ren Xiaosu was at a loss whether to laugh or cry. Should we push them or leave them here? Suddenly, Jinlan whispered, after entering the mountain, do we need turn bullets to exchange? Ren Xiaosu said seriously, yes. Jinlan. On the way north, they will bypass Dabin Mountain, Tangwang Mountain, and Guan Mountain. They need to go west for about 100 kilometers to reach Kaol Mountain before turning north. It's not that they deliberately took a long way, but Ren Xiaosu hoped to avoid all the bandit strongholds to avoid being discovered. Now that the south is in a mess, the Zhong family has become a wild hyena without a clamp. At this time, the Zhong family is the most dangerous. On this way, the bandits rode motorcycles with 1 or 2 people. Seeing that the female refugee on the back seat of Su Jinhan's motorcycle was almost happy to death, Su Jinhan used to be half hidden and a little reserved, but now it's good, finally not shy. Jinlan and the others joked that they would hold a wedding for the 2 of them after they built a house in Kushu Mountain. However, on the 3rd day of their journey, when they were about to reach Mount Kaol, Ren Xiaosu suddenly froze. Stop, stop, stop. Someone was puzzled. What's wrong, big brother? Ren Xiaosu frowned and looked around, as if looking for something. Ren Xiaosu whispered to Yang Xiaojun, looking for a sniper point. Quick! The others find a place to hide, the enemy is attacking. Jinlan reacted and quickly called out to the bandits, prepare for battle. No one knew where the enemy was or what happened, but Ren Xiaosu said that, it must be that the danger was really coming. Once, on the way to leave the 88th barrier, Zhong Cheng performed a magic trick with playing cards for Ren Xiaosu. At that time, Ren Xiaosu deliberately asked Zhong Cheng if he could make 4 4s. When he got the 4 4s and covered them in his hand, the 4 playing cards had been replaced by bombs of exploding playing cards. When the 2 sides parted ways, because the distance was too far, he lost a perception of exploding playing cards in his mind. It seemed that controlling exploding playing cards was also limited by distance, which was about 1 or 2 kilometers. Ren Xiaosu could not determine the specific distance. The reason why he was nervous now was because the perception of the 4 poker cards had returned. Zhongcheng was here. Chapter 371 Come and Kill Me. Ren Xiaosu once thought that it would be difficult for him to encounter the 4 poker cards on Zhongcheng again, but he didn't regret it at all, and even hoped that he would not encounter them. When the new life began, he felt that he no longer needed to deal with a financial group figure like Zhongcheng. They carefully avoided other bandits along the way. Ren Xiaosu was very sure that their whereabouts were definitely not seen and leaked by anyone. This was one of the things Ren Xiaosu cared about the most, and it couldn't be wrong. Before, he even caught the spies who lurked in for the sake of confidentiality and left their familiar settlement. But despite his efforts, their whereabouts were still exposed. Zhongcheng's previous route should be in the northeast, so according to common sense, the other party should never appear in the west, especially not near Mount Kao. Ren Xiaosu knew very well that there might be more than one spy among them, and that spy was so hidden that he was not exposed after so many observations and tests. This person might even have been a regular soldier of the Zhuang family. The next moment, he heard a rumbling sound approaching, as if a large number of people were approaching the mound in front of him, and then a muffled explosion sounded. Ren Xiaosu stood there and asked, "Did you hear any sound?" The sound was like something exploding in a hard iron barrel, and then the thing dragged its tail through the air, crossing the sky in a crazy arc and coming to Ren Xiaosu and the others. Yang Xiaojin, who was looking for a sniper point, suddenly turned back and shouted to Ren Xiaosu, "Ren Xiaosu, it's a mortar." With a rumble, Ren Xiaosu stared at the mortar shell falling at Su Jinitung's feet, and then lifted Su Jinitong into the sky. A large amount of soil debris was blown into waves, and the female refugee who like Su Jinitong cried and ran to the place where he fell. She hugged Su Jinitung's head and cried, but the person she liked never had the chance to respond to her. There was no separation of life and death, and there was no chance to say goodbye when the war came. In fact, Su Jinitong also planned to marry her when he arrived at Kushu Mountain, but he couldn't say it. But in the middle of the night, he would lie on his arm in the wilderness and ask Jinlan, "You said that I am a bandit who will not have a good end. Will marrying her delay her?" At that time, Jinlan and others laughed at Su Jinitong for being in love. But at this moment, Jinlan and others were dumbfounded when they saw this scene. "Jin Yuan!" Ren Xiaosu shouted, "Don't stand there, find a place to hide." Suddenly, there was an extremely angry power burning in his heart, and the light that was about to bloom in his heart was simply destroyed by a mortar shell. Ren Xiaosu had seen the light and the vision before, but the better the time before that, the more desperate and angry he was at this moment. He had seen that light before. There was more than one mortar, and the opponent was well prepared, and the attack without nonsense was to send them to a dead end. Yan Luiyun instantly activated an orbit to take Sister Xiaoyu back, and the others also quickly found a hidden position and lay on the ground, trying to reduce casualties. Mortar shells fell one after another around them. In just 1 minute, dozens of bandits were killed or injured. Behind Ren Xiaosu, a steam train emerged from the void. He roared, "Everyone hide on the train." As a result, another mortar shell landed on the steam train. Ren Xiaosu suddenly vomited blood. It turned out that when the steam train was injured, it would bite itself back. But Ren Xiaosu didn't even wipe the blood from his mouth. "Fuck you." Ren Xiaosu murmured, "Fuck you. Fuck you." Ren Xiaosu suddenly ran madly in the direction where the mortar came from. He passed through layer after layer of gunpowder smoke in the wilderness, like an angry lion with a bloody javelin stuck in his body. The short distance of a few hundred meters was only 20 seconds for Ren Xiaosu. He had already seen the enemy's position. It turned out that there were regular troops of the Zhuang family. And there were thousands of people. Go or not? If you go, you may never get out again. If he didn't go, the mortar position would destroy all the lives behind him. Ren Xiaosu charged again in front of the position of thousands of people. On this wilderness, the lonely figure was like a lonely boat in front of its tsunami, but also like the brightest star in the sky. Ren Xiaosu roared, "Zhongcheng, don't you want to kill me? I'm coming. Where are you?" The voice spread like a huge bell. Ren Xiaosu directly detonated the explosive poker in his mind. 2 seconds later, a burst of fire suddenly broke out behind the position. That was a gift from Ren Xiaosu to Zhongcheng, but he hated himself a little at this moment. Why didn't he kill this northern hyena earlier? Self-blame, regret, and anger intertwined into murderous intent in his heart. However, after the explosive poker exploded, the Zhuang position was not in chaos, which made Ren Xiaosu realize that something was wrong. This was not the normal reaction of a troop when its commander died. Zhuang Cheng might not be dead. How could Zhuang Cheng not die? Exclamation mark. Ren Xiaosu suddenly summoned a shadow, and he completed the combination of the outer armor in just a moment. The man and the shadow suddenly turned around on the gunfire position and rushed to the place where the fire from the exploding poker just came out. If he didn't see Zhuang Cheng's death with his own eyes, he would be unwilling even if he turned into a ghost. The next moment, the shadow rushed into the 1,000-man position before Ren Xiaosu under the dense gunfire. The powerful shadow actually cut a bloody path for Ren Xiaosu in the crowd. In the chaos, Ren Xiaosu held the black knife in one hand and pulled the safety pin of all the grenades he stored with the other hand as if they were free and threw them out. After throwing the grenades, he threw the exploding poker next. The gratitude coins that had been accumulated to more than 900 were decreasing, but Ren Xiaosu didn't even hesitate. No one expected that Ren Xiaosu would break into the position alone, and no one expected that he was still fine until now. Ren Xiaosu charged into the camp with all his might. The surrounding Zhuang soldiers tried to shoot, but they found that the armored monster and the black shadow seemed to be fine. Someone tried to aim at Ren Xiaosu with an RPG, but Ren Xiaosu only went to crowded places to kill. If an RPG rocket was fired, they might accidentally injure many of their own people. Seeing that Ren Xiaosu had destroyed the entire Zhuang camp by himself, Ren Xiaosu looked around, and he suddenly remembered Su Jinitun's smiling face. Suddenly, the human faces around him seemed to have turned into a group of black demonic shadows. But it doesn't matter, the dawn has arrived, and the gods will eventually rise. In the new era of the rise of the gods, the extraordinary people will define the gods by whether they can use individuals to fight against a group. If the whole definition is really correct, then no matter how Ren Xiaosu did it, he is gradually approaching that definition. Although there is still a long way to go. The outer armor on Ren Xiaosu's body is already bumpy and the energy will be exhausted. He rushed to the place where the poker had just exploded, but to his surprise, Zhuang Cheng's body was not there. Ren Xiaosu roared, "Come and kill me." If you're listening to this novel on a channel other than Fanfic World, it means they downloaded and uploaded it without effort. We cordially invite you to visit our channel, Mundo Fanfic Novelists. There you'll find the original version of this story and you can explore many other novels of various genres. We're waiting for you to immerse yourself in a world of incredible novels. Chapter 372, Bright as a Star. It seemed that Zhuang Cheng had noticed something, so he had placed the playing cards on someone else's body early on. However, after the artillery position attacked Ren Xiaosu, the deck of cards would be like a bait, leading Ren Xiaosu into the roaring and biting chaos. This is the era of the extraordinary, and no one knows what kind of extraordinary ability they are facing. Zhuang Cheng didn't know whether there was anything wrong with the cards. He was just cautious and careful to avoid falling into the trap to prevent any extraordinary from plotting against him in this strange era. But Ren Xiaosu really came. Ren Xiaosu stood in the center of the battlefield, and outside were soldiers surrounding him. He had to come, because if he didn't come to break the formation, this artillery position would continue to bombard the bandits and refugees with mortars until all the dead and wounded there were killed. At this time, the mortars had stopped. The energy of the nanorobots on Ren Xiaosu's body was still decreasing, and some nanorobots had already fallen from him like dust because they had completely exhausted their energy, as if this special life form was dying one by one. The shadow kept fighting around Ren Xiaosu. The black knife in its hand was like a grinding wheel. But Ren Xiaosu just stood there quietly. He suddenly felt that he understood Qingzhen a little bit. The humans on the wasteland were like ugly moths, and power and ambition were candlelight and heat. Humans rushed to pursue the power on the barrier again and again, selfishly and greedily. If I don't kill you, you will kill me, so the rules of this world should be a fight to the death. Because at the end of that world, there is no light either. Ren Xiaosu looked around, and the armored figure standing tall was collapsing and turning into eternal dust. This was a long-prepared trap. The other party was as cunning as a hyena and wanted to kill him here. But since you want me to come, I've come, and where are you? Ren Xiaosu roared again, "Come and kill me." At this moment, the Zhuang soldiers looked at the armored boy in the crowd, like a star in the mysterious nebula in the universe. Hot, dazzling, lonely. However, They also felt that this might be the last brilliance of Ren Xiaosu. Then, the dazzling star would be like the afterglow of the setting sun. Sinking into the ocean, sinking into the ground. The rain of bullets hit Ren Xiaosu and Shadow. Surrounded by heavy enemies, the isolated island would be buried in the tsunami, and the clown would laugh with joy on the waves. The gods would perish. But at this moment, Ren Xiaosu looked back. The soldiers of the Zhuang clan were shocked. Why did he look behind him? Someone subconsciously followed Ren Xiaosu's gaze. Suddenly, a steam train like a long dragon rushed out of the gray mist, and it smashed all the formations surrounding Ren Xiaosu. The steam train was going to smash the rolling despair. Oh no, he's leaving. Someone exclaimed. Kill him. Use RPG. The soldiers wanted to use their weapons to penetrate the steam train, but even the RPG hitting the train directly did not damage the body of the steam train at all. The steam train was running at high speed, and it actually killed people and horses in the entire position. No one thought there would be such a turn. They all thought that the armored boy who was surrounded by enemies was doomed to die. Ren Xiaosu said calmly, I'm here, why don't you come out to kill me? Why don't you come out to kill me? Wait for me to kill you. As he spoke, the train that seemed to be from ancient times had already driven to the human world. The clacking sound of the wheels turning and the sound of the metal clashing on the rails paving the road made people shudder. The chimney of the steam train suddenly blew out a thick black fog, and the long whimpering sound was like the horn of war. In this battlefield, the black iron steam train drove straight into the battlefield and rushed towards Ren Xiaosu, who was standing quietly. The Zhuang soldiers felt a strong sense of powerlessness in their hearts, as if no matter how they struggled, their fate would come. When the steam train passed by Ren Xiaosu grabbed the hand that Yang Xiaojin stretched out for him beside the train, and then the whole person was taken by the train to the wilderness. However, Ren Xiaosu suddenly felt pain in his heart. There was hope and light in the distance. The soldiers in the rear concentrated their firepower to attack the departing train, but the thermal weapon seemed to have no effect on the steam train. The steam train was heading north. Ren Xiaosu got into the train through the window and spit out another mouthful of blood. Then the nanorobots covering him fell off one after another. Ren Xiaosu sat in the carriage dejectedly, his body leaning against the wall and panting violently. Those fierce bullets hit the outer armor, and even if there was no external injury, it would cause internal injuries. Moreover, the damage to the steam train and the damage to the shadow would directly reflect on him. It was a pain that ordinary people could hardly experience in their lifetime, as if they were in the abyss of hell. At this moment, he even wanted to sit there motionless until the end of the world. More than half of the nanorobots had completely exhausted their energy, and they didn't even have the strength to return to Ren Xiaosu's body. Half of the nanorobots on Ren Xiaosu's body were completely dead in this battle. Even he could not contend with the entire human force with hot weapons. Or rather, he could indeed contend, but the time was too short, and he relied on external objects like nanorobots. Now that more than half of the nanorobots have been lost, the outer armor can no longer cover the whole body. If he is hit by a bullet, it will be very dangerous. Wang Yuqi brought several other male students to Ren Xiaosu and stretched out his hand. Use ours. Ren Xiaosu glanced at them, shook his head and said, you have too little. Yan Luiyun said firmly, there are still mine. Ren Xiaosu calmly denied, keep it to save your life. Yang Xiaojin squatted down to help him wipe the sweat and blood. I didn't help you. Ren Xiaosu shook his head. How many brothers were killed or injured? Jin Lan said with red eyes, more than 60. We wanted to take away the female refugee, but she committed suicide with Su Jinhun's gun. Ren Xiaosu paused for half a minute, and he suddenly changed the subject and said, who is familiar with the terrain here? We can't go to Kushu Mountain. There is a traitor among us. Everyone looked at each other. Traitor? So it was because of the traitor that they were exposed and fell into an ambush? Jin Lan shouted at the crowd, who is the traitor? Stand up. Ren Xiaosu said coldly, search him. The traitor must have communication equipment to contact the Zhuang family. As soon as he finished speaking, a bandit suddenly panicked. He jumped out of the window and tried to jump out of the train to escape from the steam train. But he was still in the air, and Yang Xiaojin had already pulled out a pistol and shot him in the temple. Ren Xiaosu said coldly, keep searching, maybe there are more. But this time, no clues were found. But Ren Xiaosu still couldn't rest assured. Not finding communication equipment did not necessarily mean that the spies were gone. Those spies seemed to have carved a crack in Ren Xiaosu's heart that made it difficult to trust others. That was the crack left by Su Jinitun and others with their lives. Now they seemed to be temporarily safe, but the fact that Ren Xiaosu failed to kill Zhong Cheng is like a shadow hanging over him. The opponent is a ferocious, cunning and cruel hyena, and this feeling of disgust fills Ren Xiaosu's heart. Chapter 373 No Death. However, at this moment, there was an explosion in front of the steam train, and the whole train suddenly shook. Yang Xiaojun stood up. Landmines. There are mine belts here. It seemed that Zhong Cheng had made more preparations to prevent them from escaping. He not only sent heavy troops to attack with artillery fire, but also laid mines on the roads where they might leave. The mines in the wilderness exploded one after another. The mines loaded with TNT bombarded the steam train. Ren Xiaosu's face suddenly turned pale, and even the steam train looked a little vague, as if it would dissipate at any time. Every time the steam train was bombed, Ren Xiaosu felt as if his internal organs were torn apart. Everyone saw Ren Xiaosu suddenly curled up on the ground, and the pain directly caused the sweat on his forehead to fall like soybeans. But at this time, everyone discovered that Ren Xiaosu actually had 2 gunshot wounds on his side. It turned out that when he just escaped, the nanorobits on Ren Xiaosu's body could no longer fully protect him. It was just that Ren Xiaosu had to deal with the traitor just now, so he did not deal with the wound immediately, but forced himself to be calm. Suddenly, everyone saw Ren Xiaosu suddenly put his right index and middle fingers into his wound, and squeezed out the first bullet, and then the second bullet. Jin Lan and the others stared at this scene in a daze. They had never seen anyone take out bullets so violently. Ren Xiaosu closed his eyes, as if every hair on his body was trembling. Only then did Yan Liwen react. He quickly took out a black medicine that Ren Xiaosu had stuffed into his body and applied it to Ren Xiaosu's wound. But the external injury was healed, but the backlash pain caused by the attack on the steam train could not be reduced. Yang Xiaojun hugged the trembling Ren Xiaosu tightly in his arms. "Take back the steam train, let's go out." But Ren Xiaosu roared as if he didn't hear it, and the steam train's body, which was fading, solidified again. Yang Xiaojun whispered, "You've done enough, Ren Xiaosu. If we die together today, I won't feel any regret." Ren Xiaosu also wanted to give up, but he had to hold on. If the steam train disappeared at this time, everyone would fall into this minefield, and then everyone would die. Jin Lan probably understood what Ren Xiaosu was doing. He said blankly, "Brother, give up. Let's die together." Ren Xiaosu still closed his eyes and did not respond, but the steam train became more solid. It was not until they drove 3 kilometers that they finally passed a wilderness area with landmines. At this time, Ren Xiaosu finally couldn't hold on. The steam train was decelerating crazily, but before it stopped completely, it suddenly disappeared, and everyone rolled to the ground. At this time, Jin Lan heard the sound of motorcycle engines in the distance, and it seemed that a large number of bandits were running towards them. "What should we do?" Zhang Yihun frowned and asked. At this time, he could see that there were thousands of bandits in front of him. Ren Xiaosu could no longer sustain such a high-intensity battle, and his face was pale at this time, and it was hard to say whether he still had the strength to fight. The pain was like millions of ants biting every nerve of Ren Xiaosu. The pain could really make people lose their ability to move. Ren Xiaosu gritted his teeth and closed his eyes without saying a word. This was a dead end. Everyone watched silently, but no one could take responsibility for Ren Xiaosu. Some people fled to the northwest without saying a word. They didn't care about so much. Survival was the most important thing. Everyone could choose not to go to the 178th barrier and continue to happily save bullets, but what if they died here? If they died here, they would have nothing. Ren Xiaosu once planted a seed called faith in their hearts. If given time, this seed might grow into a towering tree. But there was no time. Just as Ren Xiaosu realized in his heart, there was no light at the end of the world. Yan Liwen quietly watched the hundreds of people abandoning their companions and going away. He said to Ren Xiaosu, "Brother, I'll stay with you." Ren Xiaosu's trembling was gradually reduced. It seemed that as the steam train disappeared, the backlash pain was also rapidly dissipating. Suddenly, Jin Lan slowly got up from the ground and patted the dust off his body. He took off the automatic rifle on his back, opened the safety, and pulled the bolt. Then he smiled at Zhang Yan. At worst, go down to see Su Jinan. The rest of the team will follow me. Don't embarrass me. The sound of the bolts being pulled rang out, and an exciting force suddenly filled the blood, bones, muscles, and hair of Jin Lan and his men. Jin Lan laughed and said, "Brother, you take a rest first. The brothers will go down to wait for you first." Pa. It seems a bit unlucky. I was really happy during this period. In this chaotic world, it's enough to be happy once. Team 2, take the others away. As he said that, Jin Lan suddenly rushed towards the bandits who were rushing over. In the sunlight, Jin Lan's back seemed to be glowing. He's just a bear, pretending to be a hero. Zhang Yihan wiped his tears and shouted, "Protect Big Brother and go west." At this time, Yang Xiaojun glanced at Yan Liwen and said, "You carry him." Yan Liwen was stunned for a moment. "Where are you going, sister-in-law?" However, before she finished speaking, she saw Yang Xiaojun turned and walked towards the wilderness, where she wanted to build the last line of defense for Ren Xiaosu. Don't die. At this time, Jin Lan and others behind everyone had found the ambush position behind the mound. They have knelt on the ground according to the method taught by Yang Xiaojun to stabilize the gun. Jin Lan cursed and laughed. "Believe it or not, I must have been a sniper in my previous life." Someone laughed and said, "I am." Haha, everyone is. As he said that, Jin Lan saw that the group of bandits finally entered the range, and the blue veins on his neck popped out and roared, "Fire!" As soon as the gunshots rang out, a large number of bandits at the front of the other motorcycle team suddenly fell down. But there were too many bandits this time. Originally, King Zhen's people had been holding them back in the north, but now King Zhen's people had already moved south, and there was no one in the river valley who could check and balance them. Jin Lan and others had not received any formal military training. They just imitated the knowledge of firearms taught by Yang Xiaojun and did the most basic burst shooting. But they had almost used up a magazine of bullets, and they could not really stop the bandits from moving south. Seeing that the motorcycle team had arrived in front of them, Jin Lan and others were in a panic and could no longer change the magazine. He suddenly made up his mind and threw away his gun and used his body to block the motorcycle. "Fuck you, you are not allowed to pass." In an instant, Jin Lan actually used his body to make a roadblock. The motorcycle in the front saw someone rushing out from behind the mound and could only turn urgently, but Jin Lan was unwilling to let them rush over, and rushed towards the motorcycle. This pounce actually threw the bandit on the motorcycle down, and the fallen motorcycle blocked the way for the bandits behind. The bandits at the back got up and opened fire, actually shooting and killing Jin Lan and the bandits who were knocked down. Jin Lan smiled and closed his eyes. "Fuck you. This is the troubled times. The living have no choice, and the dead are not remembered by anyone. From the day I was born, there was no happiness to speak of, and everything I got was bitter. However, one day, someone suddenly appeared and brought light and hope to everyone, so this person must be allowed to live. Because, maybe this person himself is that beam of light." The manuscripts have been used up, and I will arrive in Luoyang in 2 hours. There will be chapters in the evening, but they will not be counted as extra chapters. I will just try my best to finish this volume of the plot, and then take a break for 2 days. Chapter 374 I want my sorrow to become the sorrow of the times. In the north of the battlefield, Zhong Cheng was standing on a mound waiting for the outcome of the battlefield. There were 2 people waiting beside Zhong Cheng, and behind Zhong Cheng were the 30 Nano warriors of Yang's clan standing quietly. However, these Nano warriors, who originally belonged to Yang's clan, seemed to be oblivious to everything in the outside world. "You should succeed this time," someone beside him said to Zhong Cheng. Zhong Cheng was not anxious, but looked calm and composed. "It took so much time to plan all this, it would be too frustrating if it fails. But even if you control Yang Xiaojun, I'm afraid it won't have any impact on Yang's clan." Someone asked, "Can you let her live in Yang's clan like a normal person?" "Yes," Zhong Cheng said after looking at him. However, the voice did not come from Zhong Cheng. A Nano warrior behind Zhong Cheng walked out of the queue with a smile and said, "Han Yang, you don't understand. Yang's family has no more power to resist Qin Zhen. I am not very interested in Yang's family." Zhong Cheng said calmly, "I want the power of the thugs behind her. The thugs are now in the hands of her aunt. Sooner or later, they will be passed to her. I don't even have to do anything. I just need to wait." These secret puppets that have been controlled by Zhong Cheng are actually the same as Zhong Cheng himself. What about Ren Xiaosu? Han Yang asked in confusion. Do you want to stay? At this time, Zhuang Cheng was also a little hesitant. His original plan was to go to the 88th barrier and find an opportunity to bring Yang Xiaojin out, and then rely on his extraordinary secret puppet technique to control Yang Xiaojin, and then let Yang Xiaojin go back to live like a normal person. But Zhuang Cheng was not interested in Yang Xiaojin's influence in Yang's family from the beginning, but in her influence among the thugs. He himself is a superhuman, so he knows what it means to have organizations like Spark Company and the mob that gather superhumans in the future. That is the power that can truly change the world. And he, Zhuang Cheng, does not need to spend too much effort. He can pry the entire mob with just Yang Xiaojin. It was just that Ren Xiaosu was an accident in the middle. When he first learned that Ren Xiaosu was Zhang Jinglin's student, he was ecstatic in his heart. If the successor of the 178th barrier also fell into his hands, the future of the Zhuang family would be even more powerful. Zhuang Cheng likes his superhuman ability too much. It's like a hand that controls everything behind the scenes, which can easily obtain the status and ability of others and control others like puppets in his palm. However, Wang Kongyang said that Ren Xiaosu didn't seem to have such a good relationship with Zhang Jinglin, which made Zhuang Cheng hesitate. He knew that what Wang Kongyang said might not be true, but even Zhuang Cheng doubted that if Zhang Jinglin really took Ren Xiaosu as the successor of the 178th barrier, then Ren Xiaosu is too young, and could Ren Xiaosu convince the public? Zhang Jinglin had been in the 178th barrier for more than 10 years before he won the support of the people. He was a member of the 178th barrier, so everyone identified with him more. But Ren Xiaosu was different. Ren Xiaosu is still an outsider to the current 178th barrier. Therefore, after careful consideration, Zhuang Cheng still felt that Ren Xiaosu's current value was obviously not greater than Yang Xiaojin. Yang Xiaojin was a blood relative of the leader of the mob, and Yang Xiaojin was the recognized successor of the mob. Han Yang, you should go too. It would be best if Ren Xiaosu could be kept alive. If not, just kill him directly, Zhuang Cheng said calmly. Even if only Yang Xiaojin was obtained, it would be a success. The team led by Jin Lan had only a few dozen people, and they could not resist a motorcycle torrent of the northern bandits. Zhang Yihan was walking and suddenly stopped beside Ren Xiaosu. He looked at Ren Xiaosu, who was still gasping for breath on Yan Liu's back, and said, "Brother, I'm going too." As he said that, Zhang Yihan suddenly turned around and said, "Brothers from the second team, follow me." A group of people laughed and rushed towards the bandits. "We can't just let Jin Lan show her face, right?" Zhang Yihan asked, "Do you blame me? If I hadn't returned to the village and brought you here, you might not have died today." Someone said, "It doesn't seem to be interesting to live like that." Zhang Yihan smiled and said, "It's indeed boring. I don't know where we will go after we die, underground." A bandit asked curiously while checking his guns. "I don't know. Anyway, I'll study more in my next life and master a skill." You see, Su Jinnun, that old guy, was attracted by that woman because he could build a house. She dragged him into the house every day. Zhang Yihan laughed and scolded, "I have to learn to build a house in my next life. I don't know if I can meet my elder brother in my next life. It should be in time. In this situation, is there anyone who can write a poem?" Ha, who the hell knows that? These people have never been to school in their lives. When they were in the market town, only the rich families could send their children to school, and the consortium sent them to factories and coal mines. They became bandits because they couldn't stand the dark life. Now that they have seen the light and hope, they have to die like a human being. Suddenly, a sniper rifle roared on the mountain in the distance, and saw that a motorcycle and the motorcycle team suddenly turned into a grand fireball. Then, one motorcycle after another was turning into a fireball, and Yang Xiaojin tried again to rule the battlefield with his best ability. But there were too many bandits, and they were still approaching. Zhang Yihan looked back at Ren Xiaosu's back and yelled, "Fuck him, I'm Zhang Yihan. I'm also a hero." Zhang Yihan didn't know why he shouted his own name, he just felt that this moment was probably the most glorious time in his life. From this moment on, it was no longer him, Zhang Yihan, who needed the world, but the world needed him, Zhang Yihan, to stand up at this moment and not retreat a single step. Yan Liu didn't look back. He tried his best to carry Ren Xiaosu and ran to the west. Every nanora but in his body made a wail of being overwhelmed. Yan Liu was overdrawing all his potential. "Brother, can't the world see us live a good life? Yan Luiyun panted. We've obviously left the barrier. We're obviously going to hide and not deal with them. Why is it still like this? Yan Luiyun asked blankly while running with Ren Xiaosu on his back. Brother, is this the sadness of the times? He didn't feel sad for Jinlan and others, because he had never been with Jinlan and others. He didn't think these people were so heroic, because he had seen a more heroic scene. It's just that this era doesn't seem to want to make everyone have an easy life. In this chaotic world, wanting to be alone is just a dream. Ren Xiaosu was just a teenager. He didn't understand why Zhang Jinglan was tired of war, and he didn't understand why Qingzhen and Li Shenton wanted to fight to the death with the enemy. And he and Yan Luiyun suddenly understood at this moment that the reason why the chaotic world is called the chaotic world is because no one can escape. If you don't have enough power, you won't be able to build your dream town. Before you have absolute strength, everything is just wishful thinking. In the past month, everything that happened in this river valley made Ren Xiaosu indulge in it. In the 17 years of his struggle and suffering, he had never seen such a beautiful thing being born from his hands. So, even if while this is so unreal, he is willing to give up his reason and believe that everything is true. Today is like an ordinary day, the same as every day in the past. When the bullets on the battlefield came, they disappeared. Yan Luiyun did not dare to use his curse ability because Ren Xiaosu was on his back. Now Yan Luiyun was not sure if he could take Ren Xiaosu to avoid the backlash. If the backlash affected Ren Xiaosu, it would be over. Ren Xiaosu's weak voice came from behind. Put me down. Yan Luiyun pursed his lips and said nothing, still running wildly. The sound of sniper rifles beside his ears was like artillery fire, but there were too many bandits in the north. They had broken through the blockade of firepower and came to Zhang Yihong. Ren Xiaosu trembled and said, Luiyun, put me down. He struggled on Yan Luiyun's back, but the pain was still paralyzing his nerves. Although the pain was fading little by little, he was still powerless at this moment. At this moment, the northern bandits actually bypassed a position defended by Zhang Yihong and others. They were divided into two forces, one rushed to the direction where the sniper bullets flew, and the other chased Yan Luiyun and others. There were still more than 400 northern bandits left, which was not something Zhang Yihong and his group of bandits could contend with. Zhang Yihong saw that the bandits actually bypassed him, and he was immediately anxious. Stop for me. Come and kill me. But the bandits didn't care about them at all. Yan Luiyun saw that the bandits were about to come to him, and no one could stop them. 5 plum blossoms suddenly flew out of Jiang Wu's arm, and the bright red plum blossoms were divided into 5 petals one by one. In the fierce wind, Jiang Wu's petals flew towards the bandits like a blade. But the number of petals was too small, not enough. After a petal flew to the bandit's body and cut his life, it turned into red light and disappeared, and there were still hundreds of bandits. Jiang Wu gritted her teeth, and saw 3 more plum blossoms blooming on the plum branch pattern on her arm, flying gracefully. It was still not enough. She wanted to learn to burn her life like others. Wang Yuqi grabbed her and said calmly, Teacher, there are still us. As he said that, Wang Yuqi picked up the gun and prepared to rush up. At this time, there was another group of bandits rushing towards the direction where Yang Xiaojun was. Yang Xiaojun was a sniper and could kill so many bandits in a short time. However, Yan Luiyun suddenly stopped slowly. He turned to Jiang Wu and said, Teacher Jiang Wu, carry my brother and keep going forward. Don't look back. After that, he put Ren Xiaosu on Jiang Wu's back, and then walked towards the battlefield alone, towards the disaster. Sister Xiao screamed behind him, Luiyun, what are you doing? Yan Luiyun said calmly, Uncle Fuge, take Sister Xiao away. Sister Xiao struggled to break free from Wang Fuge's hand, but Wang Fuge was also extremely painful in his heart. He didn't know what Yan Luiyun was going to do, but he knew that he couldn't let go. If he let go, Li Xiaoyu might also be in trouble. Sister Xiaoyu cried, Luiyun, come back, what are you going to do? Yan Luiyun turned around and smiled at Sister Xiaoyu, I want to make my sorrow the sorrow of the times. After that, Yan Luiyun walked away step by step. This era should be decadent, and a new era will surely come. How strong must one be to establish that era full of hope? Yan Luiyun didn't know, but he felt that Ren Xiaosu should be able to do it. Suddenly, dark clouds rolled up in the sky, and the earth in the distance began to wail. In the era of the rise of gods, it was as if the gods had returned. Yan Luiyun walked towards the bandit step by step, and suddenly a gray mist wrapped around him, like an evil dragon representing disaster. The beast bound in his heart was roaring at this era. Yan Luiyun used to be like a harmless boy next door, but later he mastered the power of wishing and cursing. No one knew what he could do, and no one knew where the limit of his curse was. Now he cursed that the sky would collapse and the earth would crack, so the earth really cracked. Because Yan Luiyun overdrew his own strength, the illusory spiritual will in his mind suddenly became like a thorn, giving him a splitting headache. In the end, he shed 2 lines of blood and tears. "Well, I can't die," Yan Luiyun said softly. He had no sadness in his heart, and just wanted this old era to be buried with the world. "Brother, now it's my turn to protect you in the new era that is about to come," Yan Luiyun said softly. The earth's crust, which had been stirring in the distance, suddenly erupted with huge energy, and cracks suddenly appeared on the ground, spreading continuously, just like the crack in Jingshan that was enough to cut through the barrier, and it came to the bandits in just a moment. Almost exactly the same. That was the power of nature that Yan Luiyun had seen with his own eyes, and now he was releasing it. But the crack was like a knife, cutting a gully in the ground, and there was a rumbling sound between heaven and earth, as if the world was about to break apart. The crack came all the way to the bandits and actually trapped them in an invincible abyss. Under the abyss was endless darkness, and the wind from the wilderness poured in, as if there was a beast living underneath. However, the crack did not stop, but continued to shoot all the way to the north. Yan Luiyun did not see anything in the north. He just felt that there was something disgusting there that needed to be wiped out from this world. Zhongcheng in the north saw this scene from afar. He was so scared that his soul almost died, because he didn't expect that there was such a powerful, extraordinary person in this world. "Run!" Zhongcheng's calmness was gone. He hid to the side like crazy, but the rift seemed to be chasing him and he couldn't escape at all. But Zhongcheng slowly discovered that the rift was just residual strength. He was too far away from the battlefield. Even if Yan Luiyun hit him with all his strength, he couldn't kill Zhongcheng, who was a few kilometers away. The rift slowly stopped, and then the abyss slowly closed. Zhongcheng felt a deep chill in his heart, and he fled to the north with the Nano warriors. He didn't expect that the bandits who rushed towards Yang Xiaojin and Ren Xiaosu were actually buried alive by this gully in the earth. Yang Xiaojin looked up at the boy who summoned the natural disaster behind the scope. Zhang Yiheng and others stared at the scene of the sky and earth changing color. Did they survive? Is this the power of the gods? At this time, Yan Luiyun stood quietly waiting for the backlash. Since the curse is of natural disaster level, the backlash will also be a natural disaster. A rumbling sound suddenly came from the west, as if thousands of horses were galloping. Yan Luiyun realized in his heart that the flood was coming. Yan Luiyun used up his last strength to yell to Wang Fugia and others, "Run to higher place." Then, he slowly and weakly sat cross-legged on the ground. The energy of the nanorbit had been exhausted. The curse that had just been completed by overdrawing power made him no longer able to avoid the backlash. He could only wait for the judgment of fate. Every late spring, the flood in the river valley area will arrive as scheduled. By then, a new river channel will be formed in the river valley area, and most of the entire river valley area will be changed by this flood. However, this year's flood peak seems to have come a few days earlier. The floods all over the sky gathered in the upper reaches, and then went down the river like an avalanche, and arrived in an instant. Yan Luiyun could already hear the sound of trees breaking in the upper reaches. He turned his head and looked upstream. The flood was like a high wall, covering the sky and the earth. But he suddenly saw Ren Xiaosu break free from Zhang Wu's back, and Xian Yuji also broke free from Wang Fuga's hand holding her arm. Everyone ran to the high slope, but Ren Xiaosu and Xian Yuji ran towards him with all their strength. Yan Luiyun was stunned. "Brother!" The peak of the flood had arrived, and Wang Fugia and others upstream had no time to dodge and were swept into the waves. The plum branch on Zhang Wu's arm suddenly extended and materialized. The long plum branch rolled up and tied everyone together and rushed downstream. Ren Xiaosu listened to the sound of the flood behind him. He knew that it might be too late, so Yan Luiyun heard Ren Xiaosu's roar, "Destroy the city." The next moment Ren Xiaosu's speed increased again. He suddenly came in front of Yan Luiyun, and the peak of the flood was just behind him. But the change occurred again. A transcendent suddenly appeared on the northern mound. It was Han Yang, a subordinate of Zhongcheng. In an instant, Han Yang raised his arm, and a bright red spear appeared in his palm. When the spear flew out of his hand, Yan Luiyun said anxiously, "Brother, get out of the way." The spear seemed to have crossed the boundary of life. Ren Xiaosu also knew that there was danger behind him, but he didn't care. He grabbed Yan Liwen and Sister Xiao's arms before the destruction of the city was over, and threw them both to the shore. Sister Xiao fell to the ground and fainted. In the air, Yan Liwen saw the sharp red spear piercing through Ren Xiaosu's right abdomen. The long flood divided the north and the south into two worlds, and Ren Xiaosu and Yan Liwen looked at each other across the long river of time and space. Ren Xiaosu's abdomen was bleeding, but Ren Xiaosu smiled at Yan Liwen as if nothing had happened and said, "Don't die." Then, with a loud bang, Ren Xiaosu was washed away by the flood and disappeared in the turbid river. "Brother, wait for me." Yan Liwen burst into tears. He wanted to get up and chase downstream, but he fell down as soon as he stood up and fainted. Suddenly, a pack of wolves from the south headed north. The Wolf King, regardless of the raging flood, rushed towards Yan Liwen. When it rushed to Yan Liwen, it suddenly picked up Sister Xiao and Yan Liwen and left. As soon as they left, the flood submerged the place where they were just now. The plot is important, so I won't break it up. Volume 3, The Sorrow of the Times, the end. Next volume, The King of the North had a sad day today. All good things must come to an end. Friends who have left, thank you for your support. Bye. Farewell. Chapter 375 Yang Xiaojin's Revenge. Han Yang was on the run. The flood had clearly stopped the enemy on the other side of the river, but there were still people chasing him. If it weren't for his experience in the army in his early years, he would have died in the hands of the enemy. Because Yan Liwen's ability was too shocking, Zhuang Cheng had already fled back to the Zhuang family in advance. So Han Yang was forgotten, and he was now a discarded pawn. When he arrived outside Guanshan, a stream flowed out of the valley. Han Yang walked into the valley with 1 foot deep and 1 foot shallow. This was a familiar place for him. In the past, the bandits controlled by the Zhuang family were stationed in Guanshan. The outside world thought that the bandits in the entire river valley area were out of control, but as a consortium, how could the Zhuang family completely lose control here? The bandits in the entire Guanshan were still under the control of the Zhuang family. When he arrived here, Han Yang breathed a sigh of relief. He knew he was about to be safe. However, the most dangerous part of walking on the tightrope is the last 3 steps. Han Yang's breath of relief was raised again. The ghost-like opponent behind him must still be behind him, so he must not be careless. But at this moment, Han Yang suddenly felt that his heart and lungs were torn apart, and a huge inertia came from his right side, and then he was irresistibly dragged into the stream. A high-speed rotating bullet passed through the gap between his ribs, and the huge tearing force even pulled his muscles into a cotton-like substance, and his heart was also shattered. It was not until this time that the roar of the sniper rifle reached his ears. Han Yang fell into the stream, and blood flowed from his wounds into the stream, dyeing the stream red. He lay on his back and could only see that the sky seemed to be getting gray little by little, and then he completely lost his life. In the distance, Yang Xiaojin climbed up from the ground. She had not closed her eyes for 2 days and 2 nights to chase Han Yang. But Yang Xiaojin's eyes were red, and she didn't know whether she had cried or because she hadn't rested for too long. She had the opportunity to kill Han Yang just now, but she was waiting. She wanted Han Yang to experience the same pain as Ren Xiaosu. No, it was to make Han Yang experience more intense pain. At this moment, Yang Xiaojin was a little confused. She ran down the river that day just to find Ren Xiaosu. Even if Ren Xiaosu was really dead, she had to find Ren Xiaosu's body. But the water speed of the river was too fast. She ran for a few kilometers at full speed and could not run anymore. She could only watch desperately as the river took Ren Xiaosu away. Even if she ran at full speed, the endurance of a superhuman was very limited. Seeing that she could not catch up with the flood, she forced a crossing at a narrower part of the river and chased Han Yang all the way to Guanshan. But after killing Han Yang, what about killing Zhuang Cheng? But killing Zhuang Cheng alone would not satisfy her hatred at all. Suddenly, a white paper crane flew onto her shoulder. Yang Xiaojin was stunned for a moment and opened the paper crane. She saw a line of beautiful small words written inside, "Come to Zhongyin, and when this matter is settled, your aunt will help you kill Zhuang." Horizontal ellipsis. When Ren Xiaosu opened his eyes, he felt as if he had lost all his strength, but then he heard someone beside him say in surprise, "He's awake." The voice belonged to a girl. Ren Xiaosu looked over silently, and saw a girl of his age looking back from the passenger seat. He was lying in the back of an off-road vehicle, with the seats laid flat, and the entire back compartment was like a bed. The girl picked up the car intercom and said, "Brother, the injured boy is awake." The vehicle slowly stopped, and Ren Xiaosu didn't say a word from beginning to end. He hadn't figured out what happened yet, but his right abdomen was still in excruciating pain. The car door opened, and he saw someone pushing a wheelchair, with a middle-aged man sitting in the wheelchair. The middle-aged man smiled and said, "Hello, my name is Wang Shengzi. We found you by the river. You were seriously injured and unconscious at the time. We took the initiative to take you with us on the road. I hope you don't mind." Ren Xiaosu was silent for a moment and said, "Am I seriously injured?" "I have to congratulate you," Wang Shengzi said with a smile. Ren Xiaosu was a little confused. What was there to congratulate? As if seeing the confusion in Ren Xiaosu's heart, Wang Shengzi continued to smile and said, "Your injury this time is right on the appendix. This penetrating wound actually cut your appendix directly. You don't have to worry about appendicitis in the future." Ren Xiaosu. The girl smiled and said, "My name is Wang Shengyan. How did you get injured?" Ren Xiaosu said without hesitation, "I was farming. When the flood came, it submerged our settlement. I was swept onto a tree by the flood, and the branch pierced my right abdomen." "I see." Wang Shengzi smiled and nodded, as if he didn't want to delve into the wound. But Ren Xiaosu was hesitant. Where did this group of people come from and where were they going? In this era, those who could own off-road vehicles were not ordinary people, and Wang Shengzi was actually sitting in a wheelchair. Ren Xiaosu vaguely realized that Wang Shengzi was the person in charge of this team. Ren Xiaosu didn't want to tell the truth. Now, he didn't believe anyone. Once upon a time, he wanted to believe in something, but it ended up in disaster. Since he had been beaten, he must remember the pain. Wang Shengzi asked, "Now that you are unable to move, why don't you come with us first? When your injuries are healed, we will make plans." Ren Xiaosu suddenly asked, "Where are you going?" 178 barrier, Wang Shengzi smiled and said, "We are going from the Central Plains to 178 barrier. Do you know 178 barrier?" "Yes," Ren Xiaosu nodded, "but I haven't been there." Only then did Ren Xiaosu realize that the other party had actually come all the way from the Central Plains in the east. This is the Central Plains people? He was carried downstream to the east by the flood, but was led by these people to the northwest again, in the opposite direction. But why did these people go to Barrier 178? Ren Xiaosu noticed that the people in the car were dressed in casual clothes, and there was nothing iconic in the car. "Well," Wang Shengzi nodded and said, "since your home has been washed away by the flood, then come with us to the 178th barrier. Maybe you can find a new home there." When Ren Xiaosu heard the word home, his heart suddenly ached. Wang Shengzi looked at Ren Xiaosu's expression and said, "Sorry, I'm talking about your sad story." Ren Xiaosu did not deliberately hide this point. He should be like a grieving refugee now. He paused and said, "The 178th barrier does not accept outsiders." Wang Shengzi smiled and said, "I have some friendship with Commander Zhang there. Maybe I can help you talk to him. Even if it doesn't work, we can't just leave you in the wilderness." Ren Xiaosu thought for a long time and said, "Okay, thank you." At this time, Ren Xiaosu's injuries were indeed very serious. He felt powerless all over his limbs and bones, and he couldn't even take care of himself. This time the injury was too serious. He had to find a chance to apply black medicine to himself as soon as possible. When the caravan was on the road again, Ren Xiaosu asked casually, "People from the Central Plains rarely come to the northwest. Why are you coming to this poor place?" The girl said without seeming to be worried, "We are here to reopen the trade route in the northwest." Ren Xiaosu pondered. Open the trade route? Would the Zhuang family, which runs across this trade route, agree? Although I said I would rest for 2 days, I still feel a little guilty, so I'd better update the next chapter. End of this chapter. Thank you very much for reaching the end. Don't forget to like. Looking for more exclusive content and immediate access? Subscribe to our Patreon. Remember, every like, subscription, or donation encourages us to continue. Thanks to everyone. See you in the next video.